All right, everybody, welcome into the Rant. I am Pugs Moran here on RadioMisfits.com, live from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios in the beautiful downtown. Again, I always get tripped up on this. Not downtown. I am from the beautiful sunny south side of Chicago. There you go. That's what I'll just say. I'll have to change my pattern. Hi, folks. What we do here, come on, chat room. We got a good chat room. Hold on, got a cough. Getting a bit of a cold here. Chat room, want to say hi to everybody. Who do we got? Did I see my first person in the chat? Who was the first person I saw in the chat room? Let me see. Let me go back. I got to go back. Who was the first person today? Byron gets credit for being the first person. He is the first person I see. Oh, and I've even got the times. Byron chimed in at 12:01 and 26 seconds. He was followed by Taronda, who's a perennial number one in the chat room. Taronda at 12:01 and 38 seconds. 12 seconds later. Byron wins by 12 seconds. Congratulations, Byron. We've also got Al. Hi, Al. We got Kevin, Maddie. Who else? Anybody else? There's Adam, my boy. Okay, that's enough for right now. But come one, come all. We'll let you get a second here. Talk radio for normal people. We do it every day at noon-ish. Today about 12:07, I think we signed on. Is that what it was? What we do is we do talk. We do talk radio, but we do talk radio for what I like to call normal. Are you ready for this? New word, normal listeners. I used to say talk radio for normal people, but no. People don't listen to talk. The listener. If you are listening, you are listening. Talk radio for normal listeners. We don't get bogged down in political bullshit. We just react to shit as it comes. There are no preconceived notions about how to view things. I am not an ideologue. I am more of a, hey, let's all just be cool. And that is objectively incorrect, and that is right. So, that's just how I take on issues. And that's what we do. We talk about stuff. We don't shy away from things that others would say, that's political. No, because we know that we're not political. We're just American citizens, and we're taking issues one at a time, like this one. Would you be interested to know what the most dangerous states in America is? You want to know what the most dangerous states in America is? Would you like to know what the most dangerous states in America are to be on Christmas Day? Here we go. A quick poll out of the top because it's kind of shocking. Here's the bummer about this. Most of our listeners here to the Daily Show are from either Texas or Illinois. Neither Texas nor Illinois made the top 15 most dangerous states, which I guess is good. Although, there's still another 10 to go before you get halfway. I think you want to be in the middle, right? Like if there's a rating of the most dangerous states on Christmas, you want to be in the middle because you like to have a little edge. You don't want to be in the middle of Iowa. Sorry, Jeff. Jeff's in the middle of Iowa. But also, you don't want to be in, the Englewood neighborhood on a street corner. There you go. Chicago reference. So what is this based on, this poll? This poll of the most dangerous, let's just say the most dangerous, is the 15 most dangerous states in America to spend Christmas Day in. Any thoughts? Chat room got a guess? Yeah, any guesses for the chat room here? I just would like to see who the chat room believes might be the most dangerous state in America to be in on Christmas. I'll give you time. We'll wait. I want to hear the chat room's guesses because the answer is stunning. The answer is like, really? Why? So while I'm waiting for you to chime in the chat room and tell me what state you think is the most dangerous state to be in on Christmas Day, I'll tell you what the criteria was. They looked at weather, certainly weather on Christmas Day, like, storms, blizzards, that kind of thing. Then they also looked at like rate of alcohol consumption, drunks, people just causing trouble, stabbing somebody at the Christmas party. Oh, it happens. Oh, there's a lot of like really horrible Christmas massacres that occur. Christmas is a tough time. I am so stressed out and filled with anxiety. What else is a factor? Services, like response services. Like if you're very rural and you get blizzards you might die in the ditch because nobody will come and get you. You know, so those are some of the factors that are sort of worked in there. I got one person. Seriously, one person in the chat room wants to take a guess at what they think the most dangerous state on Christmas Day is. All right, this isn't going well. Al says California. Al says California is the most dangerous. Byron, you can't play along. Just fucking name a state, Byron. Just name a fucking state. Instead, Byron wants to talk about reindeer. Says, where did that reindeer assaulted grandma live? Oh, that's a good one. You know what? Look at me yelling at Byron. That was actually kind of clever. Grandma got run over by a reindeer. I don't think that there is a location checked in that song. But I will tell you this. I believe that's Bob Rivers, who was a Seattle DJ, who created that song. So let's just go to Pacific Northwest is where that happened. All right, New York, Taronda. Thank you so much. She says, New York. New York is incorrect. California is incorrect. Albert says Florida. Florida is incorrect. Okay, these are all good guesses. They would have all been guesses that, you know, I would have certainly thought. No, guys, the most dangerous state in America to spend Christmas Day in is, are you ready? Who's that? Vermont. Ladies and gentlemen, freaking Vermont. Vermont is the most dangerous state to be in. Now, here's why. Because apparently they got a lot of alcoholics in Vermont. Apparently, like per capita, there's a lot of drunks. Also, Vermont, for some reason, experiences the most severe weather consistently on Christmas. So Vermont got pushed up because they have Christmas blizzards, apparently, and also rescue and, first responders and stuff like that. Yeah, that's the state where you go in a ditch. You're probably going to die there on Christmas. Merry Christmas! So Vermont is number one most dangerous state to spend Christmas Day in. All right, I'm going to give you 15. We'll go 15. We know what number one is, okay? Now, remember, these are all the 15 most dangerous. There's 50 states. So, these are dangerous states. Number 15 is Delaware, very dangerous. Number 2 is Ohio. Number 3 is Iowa. Iowa? What's so dangerous about Iowa? I use that as an example of a safe place. Nevada comes in at number 12. Minnesota is number 11. And ladies and gentlemen, now here are your top 10 most dangerous states to spend Christmas in. Idaho is number 10. Connecticut is number 9. Maine is number 8. I'm thinking Maine. Maine shares a lot in common with Vermont, right? Are they right next to each other? I have no idea what the states look like. I have no idea. The Northeast is just... Talk about gerrymandered borders. That's such a weird, you know why? I love it when you look at a map of the United States. They never thought they were going west of the Mississippi. That's why every state has some kind of unique sort of, thing to it. They're like, oh, and then we'll jog this way and we'll go 50 miles this way. States have weird shapes. Not when they get out west, they're like, holy shit, look at all this. And out west, it just becomes squares. It's just real manageable squares. But you get up into like Boston and Maine and Connecticut and that stuff's crazy. All right, where did we leave off? We left off, I believe, at number 9, Connecticut, number 8, Maine, number 7, Montana, number 6, New Mexico. The number 5 most dangerous state in America to spend Christmas Day in is North Dakota. What? See, here's what this list tells me. This list tells me that the rank and file crime that we deal with here in America every single day of the year takes a break on Christmas, right? Because these are all states that have low crime otherwise, but I guess on Christmas, when you factor in weather and stuff, I don't know, makes no sense. These are all nice states. These all seem like lovely states to spend Christmas in. Number 10 is Idaho. Number 9 is Connecticut. Number 8 is Maine. Number 7 is Montana. Number 6 is New Mexico. Number 5 is North Dakota. Number 4 is Colorado. I would think Colorado is dangerous. People falling off mountains. Number 3, here you go. Top 3 most dangerous states. You've got Oregon. Number 2 is Wisconsin. And we mentioned Vermont. There we go. Vermont. So don't go to Vermont, Wisconsin, or Oregon. Those are the top 3. You're going to die on Christmas if you go there. That's a fun little study from Study Finds. Guys, we almost didn't have a show today. It was a rough morning. Let me tell you, I was so angry. I couldn't connect to Restream. It took me 3 hours to connect to Restream. And when I did finally connect, it was because Ed, the great Ed Zilla from Radio Misfits, he just texted me, just clear your browser. And I'm like, oh, and I did that, and then I was able to. So it was something real simple. Whenever we actually, I shouldn't say we. I should just, don't use the royal term of inclusion. Let's just say me. Whenever I problem solve, I overthink it. I don't mean to, oh, you're so smart. No, what I mean is I immediately rule out the most simple fix. I'm like, well, that can't be it. And then I just assume that it's something that I don't know and that I now have to spend the next half hour learning something new so that I can fix something. That's what happened. And I was so mad. Oh, my God. We were recording that, but we couldn't record because we couldn't get into Restream. But if we were recording that, oh, it would have been funny. I was just all by myself. I'm screaming. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm screaming. I couldn't figure out what was wrong with it. And then Ed's like, clear the browser. And I'm like, okay. And we're all good. We're all good. Got a lot of stuff to talk about today. It's a big day in the news. Big day for trends, big things for things that I want to talk about. We got to get into the Epstein Files because apparently on Friday, we're going to not get them. That's what I'm saying. On Friday, we have to not get them. Apparently because they passed a law a couple weeks ago. Remember that? The deadline for the release of, by freaking law, the deadline is Friday. So we'll get into that and I'll tell you what we can look forward to and what we shouldn't expect to find because, oh, you didn't think that they were going to give up this easy, huh? You didn't think that they were just going to go, oh, there's a law now? Oh, okay, here's all the... No. So we'll get into that. Ugh. President Trump's going to talk to the nation tonight. Yeah, he's going to sit us all down. Now, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of stuff. Here's what I would like. I would like Trump to come out and apologize for that Rob Reiner bullshit. That's it. He wants to be the president of the people. He wants the straight talk kind of shit. Come on out, Mr. President, and say, hey, look, before we get into this, I just want to apologize. I don't know, man. I'm taking a bunch of medication. If you see my hand, there's all kinds of fucked up shit wrong with me. And I just got a little wacky. I was taking a shit. I was constipated. And I just felt like, beating the crap out of somebody who was murdered by his son. I'm sorry. And you know what? There's a whole lot of people who are angry right now who that bullshit would be good enough for. So, but he won't do that. No, he won't do that. What he might do is legalize weed. Yeah, that's a big one that's percolating right now in the halls. He's in so much trouble. He's like, I need something. And the Dems are starting to worry because the Dems are fucking gutless cowards, always have been. The Dems take pleasure in loss. The Dems love to lose, whether it's a policy battle in the House or whether it's an election. The Dems love losing. We fought the good fight, and I have no regrets. That's the Democratic Party in America. Fuck. Al Franken stepping down because he mimicked honking some boobs on a flight 40 years ago. What? Come on. I have embarrassed this august house, and I must step down because we Democrats fall on our sword, and that's why we get... They're terrible. They're terrible. They find glory. They find some sort of moral high ground in losing honorably. Meanwhile, they're competing against people who win at all costs. That's the difference. That's the difference. So Trump ain't ever going to apologize. Trump ain't going to be like, nah. He's like, fuck that. That's weakness. People don't like to see weakness. So what can we expect today from Trump? Venezuela? He's got a blockade going. I don't know. We'll get into all that. What we should expect, and then I will tell you exactly what we're going to get. what we should expect, what a normal president might get up in these times at Christmas and address the nation, what a normal president might say. And I'm going to tell you exactly what we're going to get from this guy. All right, that's coming up. So we'll talk about that, the big Trump address. Adam is in the chat. Adam don't like Trump either, but Adam, unlike me, who I don't know what I am because, although I like to put everything else in a neat, shiny box, I don't like to put myself in a box. I don't know what I am. Who do I like? I'm trying to think. Is there anybody I like? I like the Republican mayor of Arlington, Jim Ross. I like him. Man, I had real talks with that dude. That guy, I'm like, you're going to be governor. I go, you're going to run as an independent for governor of Texas and you're going to win. And he's like, no. Maybe not this time, but I'm telling you, there are good people out there. There are people out there that you see and you instantly go, that's a good man. I like that guy. Then I did my research and a bunch of bad people tried to take him down, tried to sully his name. And that was all I needed to know. I'm like, who's accusing him of that? Oh, that guy? Oh, that guy's awful. Okay. Who else? Who else is good out there? Is there anybody else good out there that I like? No, I guess not. I guess it's a holding pattern. Big news, huge news out of Hollywood that doesn't concern Rob Reiner. The Oscars have made a major announcement, so we'll talk about that. What's new with the Oscars? Oh, this is huge. It's big. I mean, it's big. It should have been expected, but it's big, definitely big. So we'll tell you all about that. Nick Reiner, we've got updates on him. A timeline is starting to come together. We're starting to see what he did, where he did, it's interesting how these things unfold because over the course of a couple of days, people start talking. They don't want to talk on the first day, but then on the second day, they want to talk. People are talking, and we're starting to see what happened at Conan O'Brien's Christmas party and the public argument between Rob Reiner and his son. What we don't have and what we're looking for, and it would really help in piecing together the timeline, we still do not have a time of death. We do not know. I think the expectation or the thought, at least mine was that they were murdered sometime Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon before the weekly scheduled masseuse appointment. Because obviously they were gone by then. But I'm starting to think it happened after the party. I'm starting to think that after Conan, I'm starting to think that they were killed Saturday night. So we'll talk about the new details, why I think that. There's a bunch of new details. People are talking. We know who he was fighting with at the party. We know who he was being mean to at the party. Because remember, the reports were that he was going around to the party going, who are you? Are you famous? And interrupting conversations and stuff. Oh, the details. Back to Adam. Adam says, wow, it only took Trump taking a shot at a man who only wanted to show the world love through his art that finally upset people's both Trump. All right. I think what Adam is trying to say is something that is very interesting, and that is the blowback from the Rob Reiner email has sort of resonated in ways that I didn't think was possible. I didn't think a lot of these people over the years have proven that they are not fucking human beings, and many of those people have kind of showed me that, okay, there's a little humanity there, even if it's opportunistic. I think for a lot of people like Nick Fuentes, it's opportunistic. Like Nick Fuentes doesn't give a fuck about that. He wasn't offended by that. Nick Fuentes, we listened to Nick Fuentes yesterday take shots at the president over his response to Rob Reiner. For Nick Fuentes, it was opportunistic. He saw a way. He's already sort of sideways with Trump. He leads the Groypers, or whatever that group of weird young men are who were instrumental in getting him elected. So Nick Fuentes is trying to flex a little power here. It's been cleared. Charlie Kirk is out of his way. Charlie Kirk was his big, competitor. They didn't like each other. They competed for the same kind of thing. So anyway, but a lot of people, Adam's right. A lot of people, man, a lot of people are like, yeah, no, that was an asshole thing. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm starting to get a cold, guys. So work with me through this. Let's see. What else do we have? We talked about the Oscars thing. Got a funny video. Got a funny video that shows before and after plastic surgeries. We'll watch that. Some plastic surgery is great. Others, not so much. For instance, fake boobs on a 25-year-old. Great. That's a great plastic surgery. A new chin for a 60-year-old. Nah, not so much. That doesn't look right. Honestly, guys, this is not a theme on this show, okay? This is not a Pornhub show, okay? Yesterday, we did the Pornhub survey. But today, we've got more news, big news out of Pornhub. There's been a hack. There has been a Pornhub hack. And apparently, Pornhub is being shaken down by some international hackers who claim to have your information. That's right. So we'll talk about it. Your information, not mine. I don't use that thing. Probably not any of you in Texas either, because you ain't used it in a year. But yeah, that's what's going on there. News out of the WWE. We've got another celebrity death, and here's a poll. Who's number one in black people? That'll be a fun one. Just let your mind think what that poll can be, and I'll just leave you with that. We'll give you the poll results. Who's number one in black people? Wait, now I'm not even sure what this poll is on. I just liked that it could be promoted that way. Number one in black people. Let me see. What is it? Yeah, so it's black population by states. That's what it is. Who's number one in black people? We'll go through that. Okay. Anything else? Let me see. Yeah, there's a bunch of other stuff, but we don't need to waste our time with that. Let's say hi to the chat room right now. We like to include the chat room. And before we do that, though, let's do this. Hey, today's show. That's right. This show runs on your tips, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to help support this kind of talk radio, non-divisive, I don't care how you voted. You don't know how I voted. We're not going to talk about crap like that. You can just drop a little something in the Venmo or the Cash App, because that really helps us ensure that I can continue doing these shows. We don't have advertisers. I'd like to get advertisers. One of my things about moving back to Chicago. But we'll see. So if you can help out, tip the show, and everybody who tips the show gets to be, or the big tipper of the show, I like to say, gets to be today's show sponsor. Is that how we phrase it? I don't know. We say this. The show is brought to us today by Barney. Barney tipped the show yesterday. Thank you so much, Barney. Amy brought us the show the other day. Who's going to bring us the show tomorrow? All you got to do is drop a little something in either the Venmo or the Cash App. Thank you very much. Also, I like to say this now. We have to say this. Like, follow, subscribe. How many people forwarded this? Hold on. Let me look. Let me see. Let me go to my Twitter and let me thank you, the people who saw this show being promoted and then, did something. All right, let's go down. Let's see who did something. Texas, America. That's my boy, Frankie Smith. Frankie Smith is the number one most influential person in my freaking social media life. Frankie does everything. Frankie forwards everything. Frankie likes everything. Frankie understands the algorithm. Thank you, Frankie. Frankie! I don't want any money from you, Frankie. You're doing the other stuff all the time. I don't see nobody else. Nobody else. Nobody liked it. Nobody. How many of you saw it? Let me see. They can see how many saw it. How many of you saw it and couldn't be fucking bothered to just hit like? Only 300 saw it. Oh man, I really got to start paying Elon Musk, don't I? I got to get that blue check. I got to get that better coverage. At least they say that's what you get. They say you'll start to see that you'll get more. I cannot justify paying the world's wealthiest man $20 a month for something that used to be free. And the only reason it's not free anymore is because the world's wealthiest man made the worst fucking business deal in history. And a whole bunch of you morons went, okay, it's still fucking free, man. You simps. I'm going to buy a blue check. You guys ruined it for the rest of us, because now those of us who refuse to be a fool, we get terrible push by Twitter. Twitter does not support our tweets because they got to fucking support your stupid tweets. Yeah, that's right. And that's why Twitter is nothing but dumbasses now, because the only people who get promoted and pushed by Twitter are people who pay for a blue check that is free and means nothing anymore. The rest of us who stand on principle are getting screwed by you people and your pictures of food or whatever the fuck else it is that you're. All right. Everybody cancel your blue check. Can y'all just, because instead of me, that would actually be preferable. Instead of me actually having to pay Elon Musk, all of you just cancel your blue checks. Just do it. You look so stupid. I mean, that's like my go-to response when somebody with a blue check says something stupid. I always say, you pay the world's wealthiest man a monthly fee for something that is free for the rest of us because he made a bad business deal. I say that. I just love to say that. Doesn't matter what they're commenting on. If I think it's stupid and they have a blue check, I remind them that they're a fucking idiot. You're just giving the world's wealthiest man money because he made a vanity play. His ego got him in a position that he couldn't get out of, and he bought something that's worth like $15 billion for $50 billion. Remember the Twitter board? They weren't going to sell to Elon. We're not selling to you. And he said, well, what if I paid you 10 times what it's worth? And they're like, yeah, we'll fucking sell to you. If you're that, we didn't think you were a moron, Elon. But yeah, okay, here you go. That's great. Thank you. Quadrupled the stock price or whatever for the people that were going out. I don't know how these things work. All right. Do we get 2 new people? Wait, it looks like there's 2 new notifications. Did 2 new people actually forward the show on Twitter? We got 3. What do we got? We got Al. Thank you, Al. Al commented. This is good enough. I don't care. Al forwarded. April forwarded. Frank forwarded it. I didn't see Byron forward it. I didn't see Barney forward it. I didn't see Adam forward it. Although Adam does do it a lot. Thank you, guys. All right. Just a reminder. Again, it's not about me. It's not about vanity. It's about helping this show that we all hang out in together every single day. It's about helping this show grow. We've got to be more diligent about that. Forwarding, liking. Now, I don't want you to, if you follow me, I do a lot of personal stuff, right? I mean, I'd love it if you liked and followed everything, but I'm not asking you to sign off on something you disagree with. Like if I post something that you disagree with, yeah, ignore it. I would never ask you to. But if you don't disagree with it and, just forward it and you aren't embarrassed by it being on your timeline, just forward it, like it, forward it, comment on it, whatever. The algorithm recognizes all of this and goes, oh, this is more important than we thought. So help us out. All right. Byron, have you been banned from Twitter? You used to be on Twitter. You were like one of my favorite Twitter people. What happened? Oh, well, I can imagine. It's Byron. I can imagine what happened. Byron's off Twitter. What a shame. What a shame. Then Facebook. You can help on Facebook too. Facebook would be really helpful because I think we also stream on Facebook. I'm such a moron. April, look at April. Driving, but try. April, nobody works harder. April, just drive. Thank you. You do enough, April. Back when we were doing live shows, when we were going out and doing things and throwing parties and having trivia nights, April would come out to every one of them. Thank you, April. Maddie says Byron probably called Elon the R word and got banned. I don't think so. I think, I'm trying to think, like, what do I think Byron thinks of Elon Musk? Because I don't know. I think Byron sees Elon Musk for what he is. I think he knows. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't see Byron being a Tesla guy. Hey, by the way, very funny today. I was driving in on 294. 294 is an interstate that connects Illinois, Wisconsin, and Indiana. It's quite a great road. It's coming in on 294, and I saw a Tesla broke down on the side of the road. And guess what was helping him? Another Tesla. No, I was like, that's kind of weird. So the guy that pulled over to help the Tesla was another Tesla, but then I realized, it's probably from the dealership, right? It's probably some dude from the dealership that came. Oh my God. Do we got Maddie and Byron going at it now? I don't know. Adam says, I'm sorry. I love my kids more than April. That's why I only went twice. Whatever, dude. All right. What else do we got to talk about? Let's see. Anything else? One more time, though. One more time. I want to make sure that we don't give short shrift to anybody who is doing some heavy lifting. One more time, everybody in unison. This show is brought to us by Barney. Thank you, Barney. Barney, you're what our Jewish friends would call a mensch. Thank you so much. And if you want to be a mensch or be tomorrow's sponsor of the show, all you got to do is drop a little something. It is very appreciated. Thank you, folks. Okay. Let's get into what we got here. Let's see. We're going to start off, first thing, the Epstein Files. Epstein Files are, by law, they got to be released by Friday. That's the deadline. And if they're not released by Friday, see, this is what I always say. You know, the whole everything's a construct, right? Okay. So Congress passed a law that says that all of this stuff has to be released to the public, right? But the people that got to release it to the public are the Department of Justice. And is the FBI involved at all? Or is it just the Department of Justice, right? It's Pam. I mean, I know that she's getting her stuff from Cash and Bongino or whoever, but it's Pam. Okay. They can just say no. They can, like, right? That's what I say about constructs. They can just say no. They can just give ear music. They can just give, like, you know, chin music, if you will, to this mandated law, this law that says they got to deliver all the goods. They can redact everything. They can claim anything. It's not over. Epstein Files deadline is Friday, what the Department of Justice is required to release and what it will withhold. So it's going to withhold stuff. We're not going to be satisfied. They're circling the wagons, man. These billionaires who think they can get away with everything, including molesting children for decades on a private island and on a fancy Learjet or whatever it was, the Lolita Express. These fuckers are circling the wagons. They'll placate us at every turn with, sure, we'll pass a law. Sure, we'll release it. 2 weeks, we'll give you everything. Don't you remember not over a year ago, it was probably less than a year ago because he hadn't been president for a year, but it was very quickly after this duplicitous administration took office that they invited all the absolute worst influencers to the White House and gave them phony binders and then marched them out in front of the press where they held up the binders claiming they had received the Epstein Files. Do you remember that? Do you remember when this administration did that? Why did they were trying to deceive us. I hate to have to be so clear about this, but motherfuck, they try and deceive us at every turn over everything. Here we are with a deadline on Friday, and there are dorks out there thinking you're going to get something. You're not getting anything. A new federal transparency law sets a Friday deadline for the Justice Department to release nearly all unclassified records tied to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, with limited exemptions for victims, child sexual abuse material, and active investigations. All right. Child sexual abuse material is pretty self-explanatory. We don't need to see that anyway. Here's what you can read. Show a picture, blur everything out. We don't need to see that, right? But just, you know, that there is a picture. That's all we need to know, is that there is a picture. We don't necessarily need to know the details of the picture. So that's self-explanatory. But it says here, this is where I get confused. This is where I get concerned with limited exemptions for victims. Well, you realize that this administration and this Justice Department has gone on record as that they believe there are two kinds of victims here. None of the rest of us do. The rest of us all know that there are only one kind of victim here. Young, underage girls who were sexually abused by grown, powerful men. That's what we know. But the White House and the Justice Department and even the FBI has been, especially over the course of the last few months, there are other victims here. What about and again, I'm just using known companies as an example. I don't know any of these people to be involved directly. But understand that they see the president of Nike, who may have gone to Lolita Island for a barbecue, but you can't prove he did anything wrong. They see that guy as a victim. Whereas I think the rest of us just want to know who fucking went to Lolita Island because we know what was going on there. We don't need any more details. Guilt by association, sure. But what about a motherfucker who went a couple of times, right? Well, the CEO of McDonnell Douglas was on the island 3 times, but he didn't do anything. He went to a child molesting island 3 times, and just because we don't have pictures of him doing anything doesn't mean that he's innocent. But you see, those are the people that are seen as victims by this administration, and they've gone on record as saying so. So we're not going to get anything. We're not going to get the names. We're not going to get even the joy of guilt by association proof that we all know is real in this case. Not so much about the plane, right? Like the plane, people are like, he was on the plane. Okay, where was the plane going? If the plane was going to Lolita Island, then I got an issue. But if it's some Hollywood star who is at LaGuardia and needed a fucking private jet last minute so that they could get back home to California and they jumped on Jeffrey Epstein's jet, that's not necessarily an indictment, because that happens all the time. Rich people jump on other rich people's jets all the time. Where are the fucking jets going? That's the question. Any jets that went down to the Caribbean that had Bill Gates or Bill Clinton or Donald Trump or any of these people on it, I want to know. We deserve to know. And that's what they're doing. They're protecting those people without any consideration or even care for the actual victims. They're just paying lip service to it. So let's see what they're saying we're going to get on Friday. All right. It says the long-awaited release is expected to include investigative records dating back to the Florida-based inquiry that began in 2005 and ran through Epstein's 2008 plea deal. Okay. So we're going to get a bunch of people that were down in the Florida prosecutor's office 15 years ago. Yeah. We're going to find out what they were saying in emails. Yeah. That ain't what we want. Okay, so we're going to learn about the investigation that ran in Florida between 2005 and 2008, along with materials connected to the 2019 federal case in New York, as well as the prosecution of Maxwell. All right, so this is all like we're gonna get stuff that was in open court that we haven't seen yet, things that were testified to. Okay, that could be interesting. The law allows limited categories of information to be withheld or redacted, including. Okay, so this is all the shit that they're allowed to redact. Information that could identify or invade the privacy of victims. Again, what are we classifying as victims? Because the administration and the Justice Department has said there are 2 categories of victims here. Not for the rest of us. Again, for the rest of us, there's only one category of victim. But for these people who are circling the wagons and trying to protect the billionaire class, there are 2 categories of victims. And I promise you, all the names of everybody will be redacted. Because it can. Because the law allows information that could identify or invade the privacy of victims. And they'll just say, well, these are victims too. And then they'll have that fight over Christmas. Materials depicting sexual abuse will be redacted. Okay. We're all okay with that. None of us need that in our lives. Information that could jeopardize an active federal investigation, though any withholding must be temporary and narrowly tailored. Okay, so now this is a workaround. So they can redact anything that is currently under investigation. Well, that's where the Justice Department and the FBI comes in, because if they see something they don't like that they don't want out there, they'll just say, let's open an investigation. Let's open an investigation into this. Yeah, so we're going to redact that. We just opened the investigation 5 minutes ago, but it is an ongoing investigation, and so now that is legally redactable. One question drawing intense attention is whether or not the president's name will appear in the released records. We all know he's there. We all need to just stop pretending that these two weren't young playboys running around New York City together, banging supermodels and getting into whatever. I don't like Donald Trump. You know that I think that he is a terrible human being. But I don't think he's a pedophile. I really don't. I know that there's a lot of, look at the way he talks about Ivanka. Oh, stop it. You went behind the scenes at a Miss Teen USA pageant. Oh, stop it. He's a dirty old man is what he is. But I don't think Donald Trump is turned on by 12-year-olds like Jeffrey Epstein was. That was Jeffrey Epstein's preferred age. He liked them between 11 and 13. 14 was too old for Jeffrey Epstein. I don't think that about Trump. I think that he may have had, you run around with your boy, you know what they're into. I'm not saying, nor do I expect to be given information that proves that Donald Trump is a pedophile like Jeffrey Epstein. Nobody thinks that. What we want to know is, what did the president abide? How close was the president with Jeffrey Epstein? Let us try and determine what he probably knew and didn't know. The birthday card seemed like they were buddies, right? Even with an exceptional avalanche of documents, records could still be delayed or partially withheld if the Justice Department claims an ongoing investigation. That's what I just said. All right, that's what I just said, and that's what's going to happen. The Justice Department is just going to tag anything they don't want to go out as being currently under investigation. Oh, that's interesting. We didn't know that. Do you remember when the Ghislaine Maxwell thing went on? And they're like, well, wait a second. We need to talk to her. And everybody was like, she's in jail. What do you mean you need to talk to her? She's been convicted. You did an investigation. You tell me you didn't talk to her before you brought a case to put her in jail for the rest of her life? You're telling me? No, they went and talked to her again. And no, just a coincidence. I mean, it wasn't any corruption or anything, but just coincidentally, a couple of days after she met with the Trump administration and told them in writing that he didn't do anything wrong, she got moved. Yeah, this legendary global child molester got moved from her shitty fucking jail cell to goddamn Club Fed. How much can a reasonable person take? How much are we supposed to just accept about this shit? Nothing adds up. Everything is shady. So Friday, I don't expect much. All right, there you go. I do not expect to find out much on Friday. That is the deadline for the Epstein release. Tonight at 8 o'clock, the President of the United States is going to sit down. He's going to talk to us. He's going to brace us for war with Venezuela, right? No. That's not what he's going to do. President Trump to deliver primetime address from the White House. It's going to be 8 o'clock tonight. 8 o'clock everywhere. What are our expectations? Well, what I would love to see, what I would absolutely, I mean, look, man, this country is fucked up right now. And I don't mean economically or we're on the verge of war or anything like that. I just mean our energy, the energy that we share with each other. I mean, and I know it's been bad for years, right? For years, people have been like, we're so divided. But now it really feels like something is coming to a boil. It feels like for the first time ever that the people, the deplorables, as I like to call them now, the deplorables have even had enough. Which is why the president is coming out to talk today. Now, what I would like to see the president do is explain everything that's going on with ICE. I would like to see the president explain everything that's going on with Venezuela. I would like to hear the president apologize for the Rob Reiner thing. I would like to see a president become a leader. I would like to see him become presidential. Remember that? Remember in the first term when people said, he's going to be presidential any minute now. Any minute now. He'll work his way into the job. And he was just a fucking bull in a china shop the whole goddamn time. I would love to see the president come out and be dignified and sophisticated. He's got that little charm going. He's a funny guy. He's a charming guy. He can win over a room. But his ego will not allow it. So let me tell you what we're going to get tonight. You know what we're going to get? Instead of explanations about what's going on in our cities with ICE, instead of talking to us about his, National Guard in our major cities and his plan to stop crime, instead of talking to us and explaining to us exactly what the plan is in Venezuela and why we're seeing videos of us, blowing people up. Those are all the things I'd like to see. I'd like to see him address the economy instead of saying that affordability is a Democratic word made up by a bunch of people that don't like Trump. I would like to see him address the jobs numbers that came out. We have the highest unemployment in 4 years. Unemployment has never been this high in 4 years. Well, 4 years, that doesn't sound so great. That was COVID. That was when the entire country, the entire world was shut down and everybody was out of work. So yeah, that's where unemployment is right now. 1 year into this guy's fucking grand experiment at our expense. I'd like all of those things to be discussed. But it won't be. Here's what we're going to get. Mark my words. I have no way of knowing this, but mark my words. What we will get today from the Oval Office is a defiant president who sees that he is the lowest rated president. His approval rating is lower than any president in history. Let me give you a little example. At this point in the Biden administration, the people's opinion of Biden at this point was -7. He was 7 points. Biden at this point was 7 points underwater. Remember how much? Oh, Biden, Sleepy Joe. Let's go, Brandon. He's in a fucking coma. I can't believe this is our Remember all of that? He was -7 underwater. Do you know what Trump is? Trump is -19. Trump is -19 right now. Now, that doesn't come from just the fucking libtards who always didn't like him. No, that means that people who liked him don't fucking like him anymore. And that's a problem. And we're going to get a president who is going to sit in the Oval Office and he is going to be fucking mad. He will be defiant. He will not be gracious. He will not be sophisticated. He will be that bull in a china shop, and we will get for as long as he wants to talk. I imagine I'll only make it about 10 minutes. But it will just be in prime time on every channel, this guy talking about how this is the greatest economy the United States has ever seen. Unemployment numbers are lies. Affordability, we've never had better affordability. He's going to gaslight all of us and pat himself on the back, if I do say so myself, about all of these imagined fucking accomplishments. I solved 7 wars. What? You're starting one, and the 2 that were going on when you took office are still going on. Well, I guess Israel is kind of, but we're watching that. We don't know what's happening there. Yeah, Trump, you fixed Israel and Gaza, but now Jews are being killed all over the globe. So I don't know if those things are related, but holy fuck. But that's what we're going to get. He's going to be defiant. My hope against hope. My fingers are crossed. I want to be wrong. I would love for him to come out there and be like, hey, guys, come on. Just come out and be a human being. But he won't. He's going to come out and be like, Joe Biden and the Democrats, and I think that we should arrest Eric Swalwell and Gavin Newsom. That's what we're going to get. We're going to get crazy. And, there is, I guess, a part of me that hopes that this is the moment. I hope that he reveals himself to be the raging fucking lunatic that most normal people have known he's been since the beginning. And this is that high watermark where it's over with now, where we see, I was thinking about this last night and I tweeted this. Walter Cronkite, I talked about him yesterday. Walter Cronkite was the most trusted man in America. No bullshit, no politics, just, he played it right down the middle. He was a newsman. He was a journalist. He didn't offer hot takes or opinions. He just told you what was happening and gave you the stats. And well, at one point in February of 1968, Walter Cronkite, after covering another fucking clip of the Vietnam War, actually, in fact, it was following the Tet Offensive. Walter Cronkite went on TV and described Vietnam as a bloody stalemate. Now, that sounds like nothing, right? Because, oh, my God, what Bill O'Reilly says or what, John Hannity or Jesse or all of these people, oh, my God, no. But when Walter Cronkite said on the CBS Evening News in February of 1968 that the Vietnam War was a bloody stalemate, President Johnson famously remarked to somebody, if I've lost Walter, I've lost the country. And that's when Lyndon Johnson decided that he wasn't going to run again for president. If I've lost Walter, I've lost the country. I think Trump has lost the country. And I think that if he fucking shits the bed the way I anticipate he's going to shit the bed in this Oval Office address today, I think this is it. I think this is he's lost Walter. We are collectively Walter. Anyway, that's tonight. I'll be watching. According to the White House, the address will take place at 8 p.m. Central Time, Wednesday. Let's see here. It'll be everywhere. All right. So president's talking today. We really need to hear from him. I'm glad. We really need to hear from him. I mean, he's got some splaining to do. That's how I would put it. He's got some splaining to do, and I don't think he's going to splain anything. I really don't. I don't think he's going to explain a goddamn thing. I think he's just going to rant about how awesome he is. And we're going to have to sit here watching it. While families all across this country try to figure out how much they can actually spend for Christmas this year because it's going to be a tight one. All right, now let's move on to the other big story that has gripped this nation. Of course, I'm talking about the Brown University shooting that occurred over the weekend. Interesting fun fact, we've now entered day 5. 2 people were killed on the campus of Brown University, an Ivy League school there in Providence, Rhode Island. This occurred on Saturday afternoon. A man walked in, just started just started shooting people, and he gone. In the words of the great Hawk Harrelson, he gone. He's just in the wind. He's gone. And we're all just like, huh. That's weird. Don't we usually catch it? That's weird. There doesn't seem to be any real panic. There doesn't seem to be any real. And again, this may just be my perception based on a lack of wire-to-wire coverage, because I compare this to same area, same region. I compare this to the Boston bombing when those 2 guys were in the wind, and there was a manhunt all through New England, all around. Remember the shooting of the security officer at MIT that caused the beginning of the end for the Tsarnaev brothers? I think it was Tamerlane. Tamerlane was killed first, but then it went on for another couple of days as they looked for Joker. Yes, I remember their names. We don't remember the people's names anymore because it just happens every day, and we couldn't possibly remember the names of all the people who walk into Target stores and start killing people indiscriminately. Couldn't possibly. But I remember Dylan Klebold, Eric Harris, Joker, and Tamerlane Tsarnaev. I will always remember those guys. They were the Jackie Robinsons. They were the ones we remember. This guy's been in the wind for 5 days. It is 5 days now. Now, interestingly, and this I did this little math today. I thought, that's weird. How long did it take? Luigi Mangione, you remember him? He killed the United Healthcare guy. Don't remember his name. Brian something or other. Don't remember him. Just another dead rich guy. Terrible. We were all focused on Luigi Mangione, right? 5 days. It was on the 5th day that we caught Luigi Mangione. On the 5th day. Boston bombing, as I told you, the Tamerlane died on day 4, but it spilled into day 5. The Boston bombing, the manhunt was over on the 5th day. The 5th day they caught Joker hiding in that boat in Charlestown. So here we are. We're on the 5th day of the Boston guy being on the run. Let's see. Can he break the record? Can he go deep? We'll see. What is the latest? Do we have anything new on this? Let me see here. The FBI. Look, we don't have I can show you. There's video of a guy walking. I mean, I can show you video, but We can't see anything. Here's what we know. He's a dumpy white guy. Can't tell the age. Although, by the way he moves around, over 30. I'm thinking over 30. Search for Brown University shooter enters the 5th day as enhanced images of the suspect is released. All right, we'll watch it. Why not? We're here. We may as well. All right, here we go. They're probably going to make us watch a video commercial, though. Yep, here we go.
Reliving that night.
1 of 1. 30 seconds for this.
Never forget his face.
Just make it quiet. We can talk amongst ourselves. May as well make it big. Why not? What did I watch last night? I'm all caught up on Landman, so I'm just waiting for new episodes. I won't re-engage with this season of Landman until after the first of the year. I'm gonna have to wait for about 4 episodes to build up. But oh my God, season 2 of Landman, let's go! It's really good. Here we go. Hold on. New video.
To pay special attention to saw this newly released enhanced video. Police asking people to pay special attention to how this man moves, his posture, the way he carries his weight. How might these details help police generate more leads?
Well,
that's not a kid. That is not a kid. That kid's got a bounce in his step. You know, there's still cartilage between his joints. This is like an older man. This is a grown-up. This is like a guy, I think he's 30 plus. Probably turn out to be a little bit more than that. We got to find him. We got to find out what this is about. We need a name. We need to look at his Facebook page. Although he's had 5 days. So he's probably had 5 days to clean everything up if he wanted to. Or he's had 5 days to even post more weird shit.
Somebody who's familiar with him, somebody who works with him, someone who knows him.
All right. We can't see anything. We know he's a white guy. That's it. We know he's dumpy.
Might be way more likely to recognize that than someone who passed him on the street. But we also look.
So this is interesting though, because I've seen a number of these videos, and I guess the police or the FBI or somebody cobbled together all the different angles. Actually, I think I have that. Didn't the great April share that with me? Yeah, maybe she did. All right, let me do that. Let me show you this because this is actually pretty good. I think April sent that yesterday. Hold on. I'll find it. And I'll tell you why. I think it's good. They cobbled together. Oh, Jesus, buffering. Retry. Something went wrong. You can't retrieve your messages because nothing's going to be easy for you. All right, hold on. Come on, April. There we go. Okay, here we go. FBI Boston. God damn it, page doesn't exist. Bear with me, guys. We'll get there. I promise. Maybe is this it? All right, never mind. I don't care. We're not going to waste our time with it. But here's the thing. There's a cobbled together video of all the ring cameras and all the security cameras, and they try and this guy. There's the cobbled together video of this guy. This is the prime suspect at the moment. Who knows? But when you watch the video that they've cobbled together, he sure as shit is acting weird, man. Like he is meandering. He is meandering around the neighborhood. He does not seem to be on his way anywhere in particular. And at one point, he's walking down a sidewalk and somebody else is sort of intersecting with him from another sidewalk. Okay. The person who intersected with him crosses the street and then makes a right and heads in the opposite direction away from him. The dude that we're watching stops as this person is walking past him and walking by and stares at this person. And then as the person gets further and further away, our suspect kind of doubles back and is like looking at this person. And I'm like, is he thinking if he should kill this person? Like, is he like, oh, maybe I should just kill this person? I mean, it literally looked like he was like, should this be victim number one? I don't know. It's very creepy, though. And if that person, you know, I'd love to hear from that person. Not that they would know anything, right? I mean, you wouldn't know. You're just out for a walk on your college campus. And then you see this video and you see that you walk right past somebody who's wanted in a mass shooting, and you got to be like, holy fuck, how close was I to being killed by that guy, especially now that he seems interested in me. All right, day 5. I got nothing new to report on this, so let's hang in there, huh? Jeff's playing that fucked up game that I don't want to play anymore. I love Jeff, but you got to stop, Jeff. You got to stop going here. You got to stop. This is not here. Look at this, Jeff's playing the gender game. We got to stop that. Nobody fucking cares. It's a dude, man. And I know he's being cutesy, but stop being cutesy with gender. Just leave gender up. Fucking stop it. Nobody fucking cares. Chicks with dicks, they're a thing. Just don't beat them up and try to be nice to them. Please. God damn. I get it, Jeff. I get it. Jeff's just upset because he found out that Iowa is one of the most dangerous places to be on Christmas. That's why he's a little salty. Jeff also says dollar store Christmas, but let's give billions to Nazi Ukrainians, Israeli Zionists, and Argentina. Well, those things have nothing to do with each other, Jeff, but good on you. It is a dollar store Christmas for all of us. See, Jeff, instead of being upset about the benevolence of the United States and trying to help other people, specifically emerging nations that they then may rise up and want to be a part of our thing, the way we built the world in the Cold War, Jeff, instead of that, Jeff, maybe you should be upset about the tax breaks we give to billionaires and how we send all of our jobs elsewhere and how we fucking spend trillions of dollars on a defense budget for shit that we don't need, okay? Next time, Jeff, be mad about that and not that we feed hungry fucking kids in Africa, okay? Okay. I love Jeff, and it is a dollar store Christmas for a lot of us. All right, what else do we have? And that ain't fucking liberal, guys. I'm sorry. If you think that's liberal and you call yourself a Christian, you ain't a Christian, and you're certainly not liberal. That's just being a decent person. Who knows? They're a proud tax-paying citizen of the world's greatest nation, and that we've got a lot to give this world. And it shouldn't all come with a condition. All right. But I'll also say this. We need to focus more on us here. We need to focus more on America, right, Jeff? Now, I'm just using Jeff because he got me off here on a tangent, though. But people are all very upset about us sending money to other people. But then they don't want to fucking spend money on us. They don't want, welfare? Are you kidding me? Get a job, loser. No, you don't want to send money here. You don't want to fucking spend it here at home. We got shitty roads and bridges. We don't spend money on anything. But guess what? Every town in America's got a dude with his own jet. Yeah. Fucking oligarchy this country has turned into. And we all want to blame fucking hungry kids in Africa and cancel USAID and all that stuff. Yeah, that's the solution. Because it's that fucking kid that's surrounded by flies in the middle of Africa. Fuck that kid. Oh, I gotta send Elon a check for my blue mark on Twitter. Folks, what are we doing? All right, let's see here. Let's get into the Nick Reiner story. That's coming together very freakily. I do want to correct something from yesterday that I reported. I reported secondhand from another person that reported this. This came from the People magazine story. It came from two sources. It came from the People magazine story, and then it was repeated by David Spade. David Spade repeated it on a podcast yesterday. It is not true. And that is that Romy, when she discovered the bodies, Romy Reiner, when she discovered the bodies after the masseuse, who was there for her weekly scheduled appointment, could not reach the Reiners at the gate. They were not answering. So the masseuse reached out to Romy, the daughter who lived across the street. Romy went in, discovered the bodies. Now, yesterday, the story was she discovered the bodies. Her father, Rob Reiner, was dead, but her mother, Michelle Reiner, was not. and she rode in the ambulance with her mother, who died in the ambulance on the way to the hospital. That is apparently not true now. That is apparently not true. We're hearing different reports that they were both killed in their beds. They were in the bedroom, and they were both in the bed. All right. So here's what we're learning. We know about the Christmas party. We know that Rob and Michelle Reiner were invited to Conan O'Brien's Christmas party. It's a big Hollywood event. A whole bunch of A-listers are there. Excuse me. And we also heard reports that there was a public fight at the party between Rob and his son, Nick. Now we're learning that Nick was not invited to the party, that the invitation to the party was for Rob and Michelle. But Rob, earlier in the week, had reached out to Conan personally and said, look, my son, Nick, you mind if he comes? And Conan was like, of course, because Conan's awesome. Yeah, of course you bring your son. We got room for one more. So Rob Reiner and Michelle Reiner shows up at Conan O'Brien's Christmas party on Saturday night with their ne'er-do-well, drug-addicted 32-year-old loser son in tow. And apparently, the son caused all kinds of problems at the party. Think about that. How embarrassing for Rob Reiner. I mean, you're an A-lister. You're one of the top people at this party. And I don't care who you are. You're a hot young actor, a hot young star. Maybe you're a person of the moment. You walk in and you see Rob Reiner and you're like, I'm going to go talk to him. I want to talk to him because I want to make a movie with him. I mean, he's a big one. Jane Fonda was there. She's another big one. I mean, there were big ones. There were A-listers just walked. Tom Hanks was there. I mean, big ones. So apparently Nick Reiner was mixing there in the party. I'm sure Rob and Michelle, I'm sure Rob Reiner is very good at a party. I'm sure everybody wants to talk to him and he's working the room. Meanwhile, ne'er-do-well son Nick is moving around the party and apparently causing problems. It was reported that Nick was butting into conversations and walking up to people, asking completely absurd questions of them, and then saying things like, are you even famous? Are you even famous? Now, that's a little different than the way it was reported. Originally, it was reported he would walk up to people and say, are you famous? But no, now we're learning that it was, are you even famous? Like, my dad's Rob Reiner. I don't know if that was where he was going. So Conan O'Brien's party, everybody's having a good time. It's the Hollywood elite, one of them fancy Hollywood parties. Sure, there's a fire pit going, people singing, beautiful people, young people, Hollywood icons, and ne'er-do-well Nick just bopping around the party, fucking up people's experience. One of the people who we now know he fucked with is Bill Hader. Bill Hader is being dragged into this horrible story because apparently Nick, this was the final straw at the party on Saturday night. Nick Reiner walked up to Bill Hader and somebody else who there's been no name attached to who Hader was in the conversation with, butted into their conversation and then began just like saying non sequiturs is how it was described. So it made no sense. So he just butted into a private conversation Bill Hader was having with somebody at this party. And then when Bill said, apparently Bill Hader said to him, excuse me, I'm sorry, but we're having a private conversation here. Nick Reiner turned to Bill Hader and said, are you even famous? And then stared, like glared at him for about 30 seconds without saying anything, and then walked away. And he walked away. Bill Hader said that, or it was reported, I don't know that any of this is attributed directly to Bill Hader, but somebody is offering this story. I bet Bill Hader's not talking. But anyway, so he stares at Bill Hader for like, an uncomfortable period of time and then turns and walks away. It was reported that at that point, Bill Hader went to somebody at the party and said, I don't know who this guy is. Did he just wander in off the street? They thought he was a homeless guy who had just wandered into the party. So Conan O'Brien asked Nick Reiner to leave the party. Now, I don't know, again, I don't know how this works in Hollywood. I don't know that it was Conan. I don't know that when Conan hires a party for all these A-listers, he doesn't have a security team. People who act as bouncers and doormen. I'm sure that he does. I'm sure Conan O'Brien didn't walk up to an unstable Nick Reiner at the party and go, hey, you got to leave. Sure, it was somebody else. Anyway, As Nick Reiner was being asked to leave, Rob Reiner apparently got involved, embarrassed that poor man, probably horrified by what he's seeing his son, who he loves with all of his heart, but who is just such a disappointment. So Rob Reiner intervenes and takes Nick Reiner out in the back near what's described as a fire pit. And it's here that the party goes back to normal and everybody's having drinks. And, oh, we wished you a Merry Christmas. It's a Christmas party. And then the party stops dead as Rob Reiner and his son Nick, just outside on the patio there by the fire pit in Conan O'Brien's backyard, start screaming at each other. And it's being described as both. It's not just Nick losing his shit. It's his dad losing his shit on Nick in front of all of these people. And let me just tell you, this is a terrible story, but let's sort of like bring it into our own personal universe. Do you ever like have an experience with your fucked up family and think, oh my God, why do I have such a fucked up family? You know, whether it's a drunk uncle, you know, falling down and splitting his chin open, you know, on the stairs on Thanksgiving or whatever it is, you know what I mean? Just fucking embarrassing shit. Your idiot cousin causing a scene at the wedding and you just stand there and you're like, what the fuck is wrong with my family? Take solace. It ain't your family. It's every family. Like as a newbie, as a civilian, as somebody who doesn't belong at this Conan O'Brien Christmas party, if I was there and let's say my kid was there and my kid starts misbehaving, I would be appalled. I would be so humiliated. And I would immediately think, this is why we don't belong with these people. Because the default is that they're better than us, that they don't have these everyday problems that we have. And then we hear a story like this where Rob Reiner and his son in front of Hollywood's A-list elite are screaming at each other by a fire pit. I promise you, this is not the first time something like this has happened at a Hollywood party where somebody has behaved in a way that would make you, oh, I thought these people were better. I thought these were sophisticated people. They're not. They're just people. They're just people, and people have fucked up kids, and people love their kids, and they get frustrated with their kids. So Rob Reiner gets into a screaming match right there by the fire pit in the backyard of Conan O'Brien's Christmas party. And you know the fight was about? The fight was about Nick being kicked out. So at this point, security re-engages and they escort Nick off the property. At this point, after having the fight in the backyard with his dad, Nick is asked to leave the party. Now, again, I don't know. I imagine it's security or whatever, guys with walkie-talkies and black sport coats with black shirts underneath it. I imagine it's that. But it could be Conan. Like, what if Conan was like, okay, guys, you got to go? I mean, I don't see that from Conan. And I don't see a big celebrity like that having to dirty themselves with that kind of activity at a party that they're throwing. You know, Conan's probably upstairs hanging out with, you know, Jay Leno. I don't know. And Arsenio, whoever. But so Nick is kicked out of the party. And then it's reported that very shortly after that, Rob Reiner and his wife made their way around the party and said goodnight to everybody and left. There are no reports about whether the three of them left together. It says that Nick was escorted out first, and then shortly after, the Reiners themselves said their goodnights and left in shame, probably humiliated. Imagine the car ride home. It's only like, they said it's only like a 5-minute ride. Imagine the car ride home with Rob Reiner and his wife the night before they're going to be brutally murdered by their son. I mean, I'm sure there are tears. I'm sure Rob Reiner, a guy who, you know, we've seen be passionate about his, you know, democratic views, but a guy who otherwise always seems to be happy and jovial. I bet he was fucking fuming. But he was just a dad that was at his wit's end. So, okay, so now we got the timeline. That's the party, right? We don't know where Nick is. We haven't been told if he left with them, but we do know that Nick was living in the guest house. And we also know that on that particular Saturday night, Nick had himself a hotel at the Pierside Hotel there in Santa Monica. It's a nice hotel. Rooms start at like $250 a night. I wanted to look up on hotels.com. I'm like, geez, this place is fucking nice. So he's not like junkie meth head kid staying at, bullshit roadside Motel 6s. He's still a Hollywood rich kid. So when he checks into a hotel because he had a fight with his parents and can't go stay at the guest house, it's going to be a nice hotel. And that's where he was. But here's where it gets a little bit screwy, because we don't know anything that happens here. We don't even know if Nick murdered his parents before or after checking into the Pierside Hotel. What we know is that they both left Conan O'Brien's party at relatively the same time. Nick was forcibly removed, and then the Reiners, in shame, exited the party saying their goodnights. So let's fast forward to the next day. Here are the things that we know. We know that at some point in the early afternoon, a masseuse showed up at the Reiners' residence for a weekly massage appointment. She rang the gate bell and nobody came, and so she immediately turned to Romy, the daughter, the youngest daughter, who lives across the street, and said, "Hey, are your parents home? Because I'm supposed to be here. It's Sunday. I'm going to do the Sunday massage. I hear the Obamas are coming over tonight." They're not answering. So Romy comes over. Romy opens the gate. Romy goes into her house, and Romy finds her dad, not her mom. Apparently, she didn't even realize that her mother was also dead. She saw her father first and panicked and ran out. Didn't even, you don't want to do that. You find someone that you love with all of your heart in that condition. I imagine you want to close your eyes immediately, turn around and go out. You've got enough to know something horrible happened. You don't need that image of your mom or your dad burned into your head like that. You don't need it. So when she says she didn't even know that her mom was there, I completely believe, it's fine. She panics. She calls 911, and then she calls Billy Crystal, who lives right down the street. She's panicking. She's freaking out. Billy Crystal arrives before the ambulance, before the police. And as the police arrive, Romy is apparently hysterical and screaming to the first responders and the police, "My brother did it. My brother did it. Go get him. He's dangerous. My brother did this." So Romy knew right from the beginning. She's like, "Yep, this is my brother." So the police knew pretty early on. That's when the police started to look for him. And that's when they went over to the Pierside Motel. Apparently this dude's out there using his credit cards or something. So they found that he had a room at the Pierside Hotel, but he wasn't there. He wasn't at the Pierside Hotel. They went into the room, and apparently there's blood and stuff in the Pierside Hotel. Cops are still at the Pierside Hotel 3 days later. Because apparently, but we don't know if the issue that we have now is, when did they die? We know that they were found in their bed, in their bedroom. We know that there was a big fight at 11 or something. The best time of death that we have that they're willing to pin down is early Sunday morning. Well, 1:32 a.m. after Conan O'Brien's Christmas party could be early Sunday morning. So I'm wondering if he left the party after being kicked out, was into the wind. Mom and dad got in the car, drove home, got into bed. Oh, what are we going to do with Nick? Oh, what are we going to do with Nick? Went to bed, and then I think Nick killed him in their sleep. And then Nick went back to the Seaside Hotel where he was bloody and, a mess, and he cleaned up, and there was shit found there, I guess, in the hotel bathroom. I don't know, but they're not saying that. So we don't know, but that's what I think happened. I think Nick Reiner killed his parents directly after having a confrontation with his dad and Bill Hader at Conan O'Brien's Christmas party. This story is getting wild. All right. He was arrested in a park, or at a park. I've heard at a park, at a subway station near a park. At any rate, somewhere near the University of Southern California campus is where he was arrested around 9:15 on Sunday night. The rest of us were still trying to figure out who these two dead people in Rob Reiner's house were. Remember, they didn't tell us it was Rob Reiner. It was two elderly people. They hadn't even identified the bodies, and they had Nick in custody. So when the police gave that press conference and they said, what did they say at the press conference that I thought was weird? Yeah, they would give no information at all. They played everything very close to the vest. The Reiner family themselves, Romy and Jake and whoever the other sister is, the older sister from Penny Marshall, they issued a statement saying that Rob and Michelle Reiner are dead, blah, blah, blah. So it was confirmed by the family. And yet the police were still, yeah, we don't know who's in there. We're not going to tell you who's in there. Is there a suspect? Yeah, no, we don't have a suspect. There's no suspect. But you guys don't have anything to worry about. They said similar to what the Brown University police said. So I don't know. These press conferences are getting less and less interesting. It's all just... But they had Nick. My point is they had him in custody. They had arrested him before the press conference, and they weren't willing to divulge that at the time. So here, what is this? We got some video of Nick. This is Saturday night. So this is some interesting video. This is Saturday night after the Conan O'Brien party. Nobody knows. I mean, I don't know where it is. They're not saying where it is. But here's video of Nick Reiner. Sad trombone music. Here he is. This is him walking Saturday night somewhere around downtown Los Angeles. What? Why won't it stop? Why? I don't understand why these videos don't fucking stop. They don't work. Here you go again. Dude's got a lot of looks, doesn't he? Like I've seen pictures of Nick Reiner. I'm like, that's not him. And I'm like, oh, guess it is. Like he goes up in weight, down in weight. There he is. Look at that. Why won't this pause? This won't pause. I can't pause it. All right, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. What else do we have? Do we have video of the arrest? Yeah, we got video of the arrest. So he was taken into custody 9:15 Sunday night, somewhere near the campus of the University of Southern California. That's USC for those of you not in the know. He didn't resist, put his hands up. Here we get to see it. All right, so... Oh, now suddenly this video can pause. All right, so there you see him. There's Nick Reiner. Sunday night. News is breaking all over the internet that Rob Reiner might be dead. Rob Reiner's trending #1, and here he is just walking down the street there on the campus of USC. Watch this. Okay, so now the lights just, Mars lights just got hit. So there's a cop coming, and the cop just hit his lights. There it is. His hands are up. They just got out of the car. They said, hey, put your hands up. You just murdered Meathead. There he is, and now he's getting down on the ground, and that was it. He went peacefully. There was no problem. He's in custody, Nick Reiner, being charged with 2 counts of murder 1, I'm guessing, with special circumstances. So death penalty is not off the table, although I don't think they do that in California, but there's some discussion about. He has retained the services of Alan Jackson, who is he's the lawyer of the moment, man. He's the lawyer. If you need a good lawyer, you killed somebody, you did something fucked up, you go get yourself Alan Jackson, not the country western singer, but the LA-based attorney who just got Karen Reed off. He's got to go through a whole bunch of testing now before he can, really go through any of the judicial process. They got to figure out his fucking nuts. And this is a problem for me. I talked a little bit about this yesterday. I'm a great advocate for mental health. Oh, here, let me pat myself on the back for that, because you never hear people say that these days. I mean, a lot of people say it, but honestly, as somebody who has struggled with mental health, who understands that we all have these things, and as long as we know how to work through them and we have the tools that can be learned, we can fix ourselves. We can manage ourselves. But this kid was a junkie. So we got to look at this situation. Is this kid a junkie because he has some mental health issues and becoming a junkie was how, he sort of dealt with it? Wrong choice, by the way. Wrong choice. If you are self-medicating because, you feel a certain way and don't. It's not how it's done. Talk to somebody. Talk to a professional. Learn how to treat yourself. Treat yourself. So, I mean, I guess I'm afraid of like a crazy verdict. Like, oh, he's crazy. He's not responsible for this. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think he might just be a junkie. Because I do think that there are people out there who are just, they come from a certain, I think he's a rich junkie. I'm sorry. I think he's a rich, privileged junkie. There was never any urgency in his life to make anything of himself because his family has generational wealth, not from his father, who has created generational wealth, but from the grandfather, who's like, I mean, there's so much money in the Reiner family between Carl and Rob. So I don't know. So we're like, oh, he's crazy. He's crazy. I'm like, I don't know, man. I think he might just be a fucking Hollywood asshole. A Hollywood rich kid, elitist asshole who decided, I'm bored. I'm going to be the fun guy at the party and do the drugs or whatever. I don't know. He just strikes me as an asshole. In the videos that I have seen of him when he was supposedly clean, especially the ones where he's doing, well, let's be honest, he wasn't in great demand alone. All the videos you're going to see of him are with his father. He seems like an asshole. He seems like, you look at this guy and it's like, oh yeah, I don't think I like that guy. He's got some dark energy. His eyes were fucking dead. And if you see any of the pictures of him from like recent times, not where he was promoting Being Charlie, the movie that his dad selflessly made for him at the expense of his own career, that movie fucking sucked. And it's a Rob Reiner movie. And Rob Reiner's like, yeah, okay, so I do have a couple of dogs, but one of them was just a favor for my loser kid. Not the way he looked back then. They cleaned him up back then. He had glasses and he was clean shaven and his hair was short and he was wearing suits. He looked good. No, I'm talking about the pictures they've shown of Nick Reiner over the past like year or so. He's like gained a bunch of weight. He's got like a shaved junkie head. Surprised he doesn't have a giant fucking tattoo on his neck. I mean, he looks like one of Tom Hanks's bad kids. Doesn't Tom Hanks have like a great kid and a bad kid? Right? Isn't that something? Who is it? Who's the Chet? Chet Hanks is the bad one. Colin's the good one. Colin Hanks is the great one. Good for Tom Hanks. He can be like, look at my son Colin. But what about your son Chet? Who? Chet, your son with the neck tat. That one. That guy. The one that's not Colin. I don't know. Yeah, he might be crazy. He might be crazy, and you got to take that seriously. But in my gut of gut, I just think that he's a junkie. I just think he's a junkie, and this is what happens when you make that decision. I've had access to every drug in the world. If I wanted to be a junkie, I could have way easily been a junkie. It wasn't that hard to say no. It's not that hard to like just witness the world and go, oh, you know what? I've seen people who do. I know how that ends up. I don't know. Some people are like, fuck it, stick that needle in my arm or whatever. And yeah, I know there is a difference. Some people, I fell at work and I got addicted to painkillers and then, I couldn't get painkillers and the only thing that would satiate my needs was junk. So now I'm a junkie. Okay, that's different. Nick Reiner didn't fall off a ladder and need multiple back surgeries. Nick Reiner was just a ne'er-do-well Hollywood kid, and Hollywood history is filled with these kinds of people. Maddie's in the chat room. Maddie says the familial relationship has been strained. He was a known drug abuser. He's an adult with autonomy. Tons of video footage of Rob supporting Nick in his career. Yeah. Relentlessly supported his son in his career. I told you, the biggest dog on Rob Reiner's filmography is the fucking charity movie that he made for his douchebag son. Byron. So wait. Sorry. What's this one? This one is, Brownho says the dude definitely has some kind of mental illness as well as addiction, which is an illness as well. I don't know. I mean, mental illness caused by his drug addiction doesn't elicit the same amount of sympathy from me as somebody who is well known to have lifelong struggles, who at some point decided that being high all the time was the way he could deal with it. I don't know that that's the case, is what I'm saying. If that is the case, then yes. Guys, I'm an empath, okay? I think most people who know me and people who know me in my real life, they know that I'm pretty much an empath. I'm a soft touch. I'm a great listener if you're going through some shit, and I love to talk to people. And that's just who I am. So I am not trying to be a mean guy. I just don't know that that's the case, and that there are special circumstances, the Hollywood lifestyle, the privilege, the advantages and opportunities that he was getting. I don't know. His dad made a movie. He was 22 years old, and he had a script that was directed by Rob Reiner. That should set anybody up. That should be enough to set anybody up for a career. If he just wanted to take that and open an advertising agency and be like, yeah, I'm going to create short advertising films. You may know me from my work with Rob Reiner. He didn't do that. He's a junkie. And it's a terrible story. All right. Anyway, the timeline is beginning to come together, and isn't that interesting? Adam says, if you believe science, the DSM-4 categorization addiction as a mental illness. Yeah, I know they do. But it's not. If you live that, here's why, Adam, I appreciate that, and you're also a pretty empathetic guy. I don't buy that. Here's why I don't buy it, Adam, and I hope you understand this. Take this person and put them on a desert island with no drugs, no booze, no nothing. If they're still mentally ill, like if they are mentally ill on that island without the drugs, then okay. The classification of addiction as a mental illness offends me to some degree, because that suggests that it's a choice. Because drug addiction is a choice. You made a choice. It's one choice. You did it once. You made that choice once, and it caught you. But there are people out there who struggle with mental illness, and it ain't a fucking choice. It's just how their shit's set up. So I do see what you're saying, and I do understand that in some circles they do see it that way. But I've got to make a distinction. I've got to make a distinction between people who have serious mental illnesses. They're schizophrenic. They're hearing voices. Psychotic. Serious clinical depression. All of these things. Bipolar. These are not choices. But developing a mental illness because you wanted to fucking try methamphetamine and then dedicated 20 years of your life to it, it's not the same thing. It's just not. But I do understand what you're saying, and we're going to move on. All right, let's see. Mental illness doesn't equal insanity, though. Thank you, April. That is such an important distinction to make. Thank you. That is because we so cavalierly discuss these things, and, I'm a bit ham-fisted. I'm not a doctor. I'm just somebody who's been through some stuff. But it is incredibly important to make that distinction. Mental illness doesn't equate insanity. I believe that every single one of us are mentally ill in some way. You don't see it. Are you a road rager? That is an indication of some form of mental illness. You cannot, in the moment, control your emotions, and so you start screaming at strangers. And we don't recognize it as that. We just recognize that guy as an asshole. There's a reason assholes are assholes. Not all mental illness is insanity. That's a great, great post. Thank you for making me point that out. Okay, let's see. Let's keep going. What else do we have? We did Nick's arrest. Oh, this was kind of wild. I mentioned this yesterday, but I hadn't seen any kind of, confirmation of it. But why not? We'll go with it this way. Here, Michelle Obama.
I feel like I should bring up. I know you and your husband were friends with Rob and Michelle Reiner, and I'm very sorry for your loss.
Oh, my God.
How long have you known the Reiners?
We've known them for many, many years, and we were supposed to be seeing them that night, last night. And we got the news. And let me just say this, unlike some people, Rob and Michelle Reiner are some of the most decent, courageous people you ever want to know. They're not deranged or crazed. What they have always been are passionate people in a time when there's not a lot of courage going on. They were the kind of people who were ready to put their actions behind what they cared about. And they cared about their family, and they cared about this country, and they cared about fairness and equity. And that is the truth. I do know them.
Michelle Obama, we'll be right back.
All right, there you go. That's my first lady. Yeah, that's class. She's a classy lady. Oh, I know you hate her because what? She's born with a dick? Is that one of the things? She's a dude. Fucking hate her. You hate her because of her husband. That's a classy lady. That's a sophisticated lady. All right. So yeah, man, how wild is that, huh? That's why I reported yesterday. I said that, people were wondering why the hell the Secret Service was on the scene. Well, the Secret Service was on the scene because the Obamas were supposed to have dinner there that night, but they couldn't show up for dinner because there was a murder scene. That's wild. That is wild. All right. How about Rob Reiner? Or Rob Reiner? Rob Schneider. I wanted to play him. I thought this was great. I love this. That we're starting to see where the bridge too far is for that select few MAGA Hollywood folk. And we ain't heard from the great Kevin Sorbo yet. He hasn't chimed in, but James Woods. James Woods, of course, went viral yesterday with his appearance on Jesse Waters on Fox, where he broke down crying and also criticized the president for being an asshole. Sorry, but everybody who knew Rob Reiner loved him. And a lot of these people who also have pledged their love and their fealty to the president of the United States, certainly the ones in Hollywood, are all making it known that, no, that was wrong. He was wrong. Rob Reiner was a great guy. Rob Schneider, comedian Rob Schneider, he was talking about it as well. Here was Rob Schneider from yesterday. This is also from Fox News.
We are allowed to have these conversations. We are allowed to disagree with the president and even say outrageous things that he said. I don't want to repeat them, but I think like the president yesterday, I think he must rise above it, and he seems incapable of rising above the situation and being the president of all of us and just saying what it was. Maybe he wasn't a fan of mine, but I was a fan of his. He made great films. He was a great artist, and leave it at that. And I think we must move away from this the rhetoric of anger and hostility and not take everything personally. I mean, Rob Reiner and I, maybe we would disagree vehemently politically, but we can agree comedically. We can agree on what made those movies so funny that he made. We are allowed to have these conversations. We are allowed to disagree.
All right, there you go. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure that Rob Schneider and Rob Reiner would agree comedically. Rob Schneider is a bit of a hack, and Rob Reiner created Spinal Tap. So I don't really see them on the same level comedically, but it was nice that Rob Schneider would say something like that. Yeah, I think it's important. A lot of people have made their again, I don't know why the president felt compelled to do that, but it's because he can't help it. Mental illness. His mental illness, at least one of them that I know of that is obvious, is unbridled narcissism. That is a mental illness. And he has it in spades. Big news coming out of Hollywood, not related to the Rob Reiner situation. How about the breaking news about the Oscars, man? I used to love watching that. The Oscars, man, it was my Super. I had a Super Bowl and I had the Oscars, but the Oscars were as big for me for many years. Probably not in 15 years, but the Oscars used to be one of the biggest. I used to have Oscar parties. Everybody'd come over. I loved it. We had little game cards. It was fun. Back when we all went to movies and back when we loved movies, So the Oscars for the past, I don't know, I think probably as long as I can remember, have always been on ABC television. ABC, you're home for the Oscars. Well, guess what? In moves that is freaking everybody in Hollywood out, certainly those at network TV, the Oscars have announced that beginning in 2029, the exclusive home for the Academy Awards will no longer be ABC. No. It'll be YouTube. YouTube has signed up to host the Oscar platform, the Oscars, or whatever we want to call it. Says here the Oscars are moving to YouTube beginning in 2029. Will stream for free worldwide. The Oscars are heading to the very small screen in a move that's sure to send shockwaves through Hollywood. The Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences. Oh my God, I just choked on my own spit. What is... That was unpleasant. In a move that's sure to send shockwaves through Hollywood, the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences has signed a multi-year deal that will give YouTube the exclusive global rights to the Oscars beginning in 2029 with the 101st ceremony. So there you go. I was going to say the first 100 years were on TV, but that's not true because I bet the first 20 years weren't on TV at all. YouTube, let's see, ABC, the film industry's biggest night, has aired on ABC for decades. They have the rights through 2028. So there you go. Big news. The Oscars, including red carpet coverage, behind-the-scenes content, and the Governor's Ball, will all be available and free on YouTube to viewers around the world, as well as on YouTube TV for subscribers in the United States. All right, so there you go. So no different. You're just going to watch it. You got to have a smart TV, right? You can't have a regular TV. Got to have a smart TV that has an app, and you watch YouTube on your TV, and there you go. YouTube making moves, man. YouTube is... I've said this, you do your desert island thing, right? You're on a desert island and you only have one platform. Which one do you want? You going with Netflix? You going with Hulu? I'm like, nah, I'm going with YouTube. YouTube's got everything. And here's the great thing about YouTube. There's always something. There's always something to watch. I can go to Netflix and I'm like, I don't want to see that. 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 I don't do that on YouTube. I can't get like 3 videos into YouTube without going, oh, I want to watch that. Whether it's police body cam or a predator being caught, YouTube is the best source for entertainment. I'm sorry. And it's free. That's right. Let's see, what else do we have here? Hey, this is fun. This is fun. All right, this is a plastic surgery. We're going to watch this. This is a video. Check this out, you guys. Hold on. This is a video that was going around yesterday. They're calling it Mar-a-Lago face. Okay, you can only imagine, right? Mar-a-Lago face. This is an incredible compilation of before and after photos of girls and young girls. It's not cheap. It's not like, oh, here's a picture of her at 25 and now look at her at 78 after 12 plastics. No, it's not that. It's like, this was her at 34. Now look at her at 38. I mean, it is amazing. Not a cult. Not a cult. All right, Mar-a-Lago face. Look at this. Hold on. We'll go through this. All right. First of all, here's the first one. That's a smoke show right there. That's almost perfect. She is beautiful. That's that Lorena Sanchez chick. She's married to Jeff Bezos. She's a regular there at Mar-a-Lago. Let's see what she's got going on. Holy fuck! Holy fuck! You see that? From that? Oh my God. All right, there you go. That's her. There's one. Laura Loomer. All right, this is fucking Laura Loomer. Never attractive. Looks like a goddamn bird that the mother abandoned in the nest. See her. Mar-a-Lago face. Oh my God. That's like a horror movie mask. And what would they think it's, what do they think she looks good? Holy shit. Once again, here you go. Oh my God. All right, who we got now? Oh, look at this. All right, here we go. Carolyn Leavitt. The White House president. Look at her. She's beautiful. She is beautiful. This is the girl next door. This is the cheerleader. She babysits your kids. Carolyn Leavitt. Look at her. She's beautiful. What happened after Mar-a-Lago? Yeah, she looks like a fucking porn star now. That's right. That's what they do. That's a wild one. And again, she's only like 30 years old. What is she doing having chin replacement at 32 years old? All right, here's Melania. Now, I got to be honest. I don't know where this is going, but I've seen Melania recently, and she still looks pretty good. She's apparently saving the good plastic surgeon for herself. Because this is Melania, our first lady, before she started spending time at Mar-a-Lago. Now let's see what we got. Yeah, see, I think she's great. I think she's beautiful. She looks mean, though. She looks like a fucking bitch. Seriously? I mean, look at her. She's like, meh. She looks awful, but I think she's a beautiful woman who is, for her age, holding together nice. She does not look like she's had extraordinary plastic surgery. And you want to know why? Compared to like a Laura Loomer, because she was beautiful to begin with. Melania Trump was beautiful to begin with, and so now she's like 50, and I think that picture we saw earlier was like her at 30. So this is not a good example of Mar-a-Lago face. First lady looks beautiful. Who we got now? Okay, so this is one of the Trump daughters. This is one of the Trump daughter-in-laws. Is this that? I don't know. Let's call her Donna. This is Donna Trump. I don't know which one. Laura Trump. Is this Laura Trump? I don't know. The sons had two wives. Like in 2016, when they first introduced us to the Trump family, the two sons had two wives. One of their wives was, they were both attractive, but one of them was really attractive. And that one's not around anymore. I don't know what happened to that one. I don't know what happened to that. And then we get stuck with this one. This is, I think, Laura. This is the other one. Is this the one that was married to the idiot? Who's the idiot? No, not Barron. Who's the idiot? Eric. There you go. There's asshole, idiot. Asshole is Don Jr. Idiot is Eric. And blob of nothing is Barron. There you go. Blob of nothing. We'll get back to you, Barron. Anyway, let's look at this one. Laura, whatever. Oh my God. See? It's just not a good look. There is a Mar-a-Lago face, and it's like a mask from a horror movie. Well, what's the horror? You know the horror movie I'm thinking of. What's the horror movie where the people are chained in the basement? I don't know. Saw. There it is. It's like they all got. Oh, look, we're even going to get Matt Gaetz here. Look at that hair. This guy is so Quagmire. Giggity. Look at him. Giggity. All right, now who's this? Who's this? I don't even know who that is. Oh, is that Kristi Noem? That might be Kristi Noem. Wow. Yeah, man. This is the Marion kind. This is Kristi Noem. Look at her. She's cute. She's pretty. You like that? Oh, jeez. Yeah. What? They all get mean looking. They all get mean and angry and plastic looking. Although, if I'm being honest, that's not too bad. Because I see Kristi Noem every day and I go, still would. Still totally would. I mean, we wouldn't have nice conversations or anything, but I still would. Let's see what else we got here. All right, who's this one? This is, this is the Guilfoyle chick. This is the former Mrs. Gavin Newsom. I don't get this broad at all. I forgot her name. I think she's our ambassador to Greece. Yeah. They sent her away. They sent her away. She was married to Gavin Newsom. There was a time in California where she was like, her and Gavin, they were like the future of the California liberals and blah, blah, blah. And then she got a divorce from Gavin Newsom. And apparently her entire worldview changed and she went over to Fox because she wanted to be on TV and they put her on TV and she slowly became more and more not the ex-wife of Gavin Newsom. And then she started dating Don Jr., right? So they started dating Don Jr. and that was like a bit of an own, a bit of an end zone, gents. Hey, I'm fucking your ex-wife, Gavin. You know, that whole thing. It was like a bit of that. So Don Jr. and her, they became a thing. What kind of a woman? Seriously, girls, I know there's some women in the chat room. What kind of a woman can fall in love with both Gavin Newsom and Don Jr.? That is beyond me. That is beyond me, unless she's just climbing. Unless she's just a climber who's willing to sleep and marry her way into positions that she otherwise would never be able to reach, which might be the case. So apparently she's really irritating because Don Jr., you know, hit it and quit it. He got done with that. He's like, you know what? I just can't. Starting to see why Gavin moved on from you. And it was kind of a public breakup. And what they did is they made her an ambassador and they moved her to Greece so that Don could freely date whoever he wants to. They moved her to she was probably like, okay, so you're trying to get rid of me, right? You don't want me around for the cameras because I'm Don Jr.'s ex-girlfriend and you think I might go off? Okay. All right. So what are you going to give me? And they're like, how would you like to be ambassador to Greece? And she's like, okay. All right, so let's see her here. She was pretty. This is her. She's probably like 30 years old. Let's see what she turned into. We know what she turned into. Holy fuck. Cruella de Vil. This is a woman. This is what aging poorly looks like. I think that's the unifying trend with most of these women. They are all essentially aging poorly because their entire self-worth was based upon their fuckability, and now they're seeing their fuckability go down, and they don't know what else they are. So they're panicking, and they're trying to get themselves fuckable again, and the end result is this mess of like, I want to look like a porn star from 96. Unbelievable. All right, who's this? Oh, yeah. This is one that we just learned about her a couple weeks ago. This is Michael Dell's wife. Michael Dell, you know, like one of the richest guys on the planet. Dell Computers. I'm looking at a fucking Dell computer right now. Here's Michael Dell's wife. She's adorable. Look at that smile. The hair's not great. I don't like the haircut. I think she could do a better haircut for her face, and you know, the hair really makes the face look too angular, but okay, that's all right. She's a fine looking woman. Oh my God. Oh my God. What is happening here? This is Jeff Bezos's wife. You're telling me they didn't get a plastic surgeon who could do eyes better than that? That is fucked up. Look at that. She goes out in public, and you know what? Because she's a billionaire's wife, no one has ever said anything to her. She probably had this fucked up eye job for the past 5 years, and nobody has ever said anything to her because she's just in her personal universe. She's not in the public eye. No pun intended. And then Michael Dell gives all kinds of money to Trump, and she's got to go and be at a press conference, and she's standing there up on the stage, and the entire Twitter sphere and Instagram and Facebook, they all look at her and they're like, your eyes are fucked up. Nobody ever told her. I promise you, nobody ever told her. Think about her personal universe. She comes out of the plastic surgery, right? She gets taken to her big mansion. What do you think? Her butler's going to be like, your eyes are fucked up? Or is he going to be like, you look beautiful? How about her assistant? Is her assistant going to go, I think you need to go right back there right now, and they need to undo what they did? No, the assistant didn't say that. The assistant said, you look beautiful, Mrs. Dell. There's a goddamn person in her personal universe that's going to tell the wife of the world's richest man or one of the world's richest men that she's got fucked up plastic surgery until she appears in public. And then all of us, the great unwashed, we're not afraid. We're on Twitter. We're like, look at those fucked up eyes. This is terrible. Oh, you're being mean to her. Fuck you. She's the wife of a billionaire. She can handle it. Well, let's see what else we got. Oh, now this is not fair. And I don't really think of Lisa Rinna. I guess she would be like the Kevin Sorbo of women. Would that be a good way to classify Lisa Rinna? The Kevin Sorbo of chicks. she is always like it's been for 20 years. She is 20 years. I think she was when she was famous 35 years ago. She was the woman who had the lip implants. She started the whole big giant fucked up lip thing in like 1992, and it looked weird, and everybody talked about it. Oh, she's got Lisa Rinna lips. But then she moved on over the years, like 96, she probably did her eyes. 98, she probably did her chin. 99, she probably did something else. And over the course of the last 30 years, Lisa Rinna has looked like a fucking shrinky dink that we left in the oven too long. Is that a Gen X reference? You guys remember shrinky dinks? Anyway, let's see. So it's not going to surprise me. She looks awful. She has looked awful for 20 years. Well, let's see what she looks like now. She was pretty. I think this is back when she was married to Harry Hamlin. They were quite the couple. Well, let's see what she turned into. Yeah, I mean, look at that. Look at that. The eyes are fake. They fucking carved out new holes for her eyes. She's got cheek implants. Look at these big, giant, pointy cheeks now that don't look natural. She's got fucked up lips that look like inner tubes. This chin is new. Look at this jawline. What did she go in and go, I want Rock Hudson's jawline? Well, ma'am, that's not going to look feminine. That's okay. I'm through the looking glass. Give me a horn. I want a horn on top of my head. I'm going to start calling myself a unicorn. All right, there you have it. These fucking vain people. Hey, baby, don't worry about another. Seriously, all of you ladies of Mar-a-Lago, don't worry about another plastic surgery. Your husband's fucking mistress is 22 years old, and don't worry about it. If you're doing this to keep your man, that horse is out of the barn, baby. The only reason you're still around is because a divorce would be way too expensive at this point. Your husband's got a 22-year-old girlfriend. I promise you. All right, there you have it. That's the famous Mar-a-Lago face that was going around yesterday. Let's talk about Pornhub. We got any fans of the old Pornhub? We got any whackmasters out there? Pornhub, I've been talking a lot about it the last couple of days. This is just a coincidence. The last couple of days we were talking about it because every year I like to go through the Pornhub year-end survey just to see what kind of weirdos we're all morphing into. We did that yesterday. Yesterday we went through the whole, we found out a lot of weird stuff. We found out what's the most popular search term. Wasn't it hentai? Like the most popular search term globally on Pornhub is hentai. That's number one. It's cartoons. Cartoons having sex. People in this world are currently more interested in watching cartoons having sex than watching people have sex. I don't know. I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't know what that is. Number two is MILF. MILF. We righted the ship. MILF, that's a normal category. It's a normal category. Anyway, Pornhub is back in the news today. I got to tell you about it. It was a hacking that has them in the news. Pornhub has been hacked. The hacking group says that it's extorting Pornhub after stealing users' viewing data. The hacking group, Scattered Lapsus, which includes members of a gang known as the Shiny Hunters, said it is attempting to extort porn site Pornhub after claiming to have stolen personal information belonging to the website's premium members. I didn't see that. That's awesome. That's funny. You gotta be a special level masturbator to pay a monthly subscription to Pornhub. That seriously, man. I didn't even know that you could do that. I didn't even know that there was a way to pay Pornhub. What are you paying for? Pornhub. You go to Pornhub and there's like 100 million porn videos to sift through. What do you need? 100 million and one? You're going to spend $20 a month for a premium? No, thank you. No, thank you. So it appears that if you are a Pornhub premium user, like if you go to Pornhub and sign in, fuck that. I ain't doing that. It's too secretive. I don't want anybody to know what I'm looking. I'm not signing in. You're not going to put my search queries in the crowd or in the cloud for future generations to marvel at. I don't think so. On Monday, Bleeping Computer reported, apparently Bleeping Computer is a site. On Monday, Bleeping Computer reported seeing a sample of the stolen Pornhub data, which included personal information associated with Pornhub premium members, including their registered email addresses. That's fine. You fucking hack my email. You ain't gonna get nothing. I don't use email anymore. I use email just a little bit more than I use real mail. Email is text me. You can text me shit. Everything else, documents, all that shit, they come to an app. They come to an app that I'm probably associated with. Don't send me email. My email is just nothing but nonsense. Let's see here. On Monday, Bleeping Computer reported seeing a sample of the stolen Pornhub data, which included personal information associated with Pornhub premium members, including their registered email addresses and location, activity type. Well, pretty sure across the board that's masturbating. Pretty sure that's the activity type that's going on, such as which videos and channels they watched. Yeah, now we're getting into it, including the video name and the web address. Keywords associated with the video and the date and time that the event was recorded. Did we go over that yesterday? Was that one of the categories we got into? In the busiest time for Pornhub. 11:15 p.m. 11:15 p.m. Peak traffic. Pornhub. 11:50. Wherever you are, if it's 11:15, there's a lot of people in your time zone on Pornhub. A bunch of people trying to get themselves ready for bed, I guess. A spokesman for the Shiny Hunters gang told TechCrunch that the hackers have sent an extortion email only to Pornhub so far and declined to say how many other companies were part of the Mixpanel incident. I don't know what any of this means. I am not a Pornhub premium member, so have at it. Have at it. Let's see. What else do we have here? Here's some news. Yeah, this is honestly, I don't know what to make of this. One of my favorite people, one of my favorite celebrities, one of the absolute best dudes that I ever interviewed, and I interviewed him probably 10 times. Saw him backstage at an event. This is how many times we interviewed this guy. Saw him backstage at an event. He was walking towards me, right? It wasn't in the context of, oh, you're going to meet with Pugs and Kelly to do an interview. It was just random. It was just like we hadn't even interviewed with him. It was like a year after we had interviewed him last time. And I'm walking through the tunnels of the American Airlines Center with, I think it was Cody, because I think Cody was the one that was way into wrestling. We're walking through the tunnels and walking towards us in the other direction. This guy looks at me and he goes, "Hey, Pugs, how you doing?" And he shakes my hand and then says, "How's Kelly?" And I'm like, "Oh, Jesus, how does this guy fucking remember? This guy goes to every town and talks to every DJ." Now, I know we were big with WWE because they were big advertisers on our station, so we had all those guys. So maybe on some level, he's enough of a professional that he committed to memory the Dallas DJs as opposed to maybe the Biloxi DJs, Dallas being a much bigger, more important market. But I'm talking about Mick Foley, talking about legendary WWE icon Mick Foley. Mankind, Cactus Jack, the dude, right? Something like that. Mick Foley is one of the most important wrestlers of the past 40 years, certainly one of the most beloved and one of the most popular. He would just reinvent himself and create a different character, and then that character would go on a 5-year run, and then he'd disappear and he'd be a different character. Mick Foley has written children's books that are bestsellers. Mick Foley has written screenplays that have been produced. Mick Foley is a real interesting dude, a Renaissance man. And as I said before I started this, one of the favorite people that Kelly and I ever interviewed. We loved this guy. Neither Kelly or I liked wrestling. I didn't know who he was. I was like, I don't know who he is. Just a really good dude. friendly, made the effort to remember people's names. Handshakes. How's Kelly? That's not supposed to. There are a few people who pulled that off. Mick Foley, I was really surprised by. Anyway, Mick Foley's in the news today. Mick Foley has severed ties with the WWE after Trump's Rob Reiner comments. He says this is the final straw. And I can totally see that because Mick Foley is such a decent, kind empath. I mentioned that earlier. I'm an empath. I think Mick Foley is also an empath. An empath is somebody. Everybody knows what an empath. An empath is it's not a psychic. It's a person who is more adept than the average person of being able to connect with others, and more to the point, connect with what another person is going through. So an empath, like if your mother just died, an empath will really fucking care. Will honestly care, and they'll be there with you, and they'll listen, and they'll talk. This is not me patting myself on the back. It's honestly a huge fucking crux to bear because you honestly do care about things. My son is an empath. You know how I know my son is an empath at 16 years old? I knew it at 7. We're driving in the car, and my son asked me about retardation because we had just been in the store and we saw a little retarded girl. And my son had no idea what that was. And I explained to him about retardation. And my 7-year-old son started crying. Just the knowledge that people go through this made him cry. And I said, why are you crying? And he said, because that is so sad for that little girl. And I'm like, holy fuck. Like I made the note. I'm like, my kid's an empath too. That's very cool. He actually does care. He's not just, pretending. You don't fake that at 7 years old. Anyway, Mick Foley is that. Mick Foley is a really kind dude. Mick Foley severs ties with the WWE. Trump's Rob Reiner comments were the final straw. It says wrestling icon Mick Foley announced on Tuesday that he's officially cutting ties with the WWE because of the company's ongoing support of President Donald Trump following the commander-in-chief's incredibly cruel response to the death of legendary actor and director Rob Reiner. Y'all should see. I guess I bet you there's a lot of like normal people out there who don't know who Mick Foley is. So let's give you a picture of this guy, and I mean it. He is a wonderful dude. You know who else was a really wonderful dude? And this is crazy because he got canceled. Just a fucking kind, decent, loving man. Mario Batali. Remember Mario Batali, the chef? Fucking Mario Batali, until like 3 years ago, was still sending me Christmas cards. Mario Batali was a wonderful, wonderful man. And then his life got destroyed because he hugged girls too long. He hugged girls too long. There he is. There's Mick Foley. There you go. Mankind. Cactus Jack, whatever you want to call him. All right, let's see what he has to say while we look at old Mick here. Oh, for crying out loud. Hold on. Excuse me. All right, so we read the headline. Mick Foley severs ties with WWE after Trump's Rob Reiner comments were the final straw. Wrestling icon Mick Foley announced Tuesday he's officially cutting ties with the WWE because of the company's ongoing support for President Donald Trump following the commander-in-chief's incredibly cruel response to the death of the legendary actor. Foley, one of the central performers who helped shape WWE's Attitude Era, posted a statement on Instagram explaining that he had been concerned about the company's close relationship with Trump for some time and that the president's comments about Reiner marked the final straw. He says, I no longer wish to represent a company that coddles a man so seemingly void of compassion as he marches our country towards autocracy, Foley wrote. Last night, I informed the WWE Talent Relations that I would not be making any appearances for the company as long as he remains in office. Additionally, I will not be signing a new Legends deal when my current one expires in June. I love the WWE, always will, and will always treasure my time with them. And I am deeply appreciative for all the opportunities they have afforded me. But in the words of Popeye the Sailor, I stands all I can stands and I can't stands no more. All right, there you have it. Mick Foley. Look, the WWE is steeped in Trumpism and MAGA. And if you're Mick Foley and you just don't like it anymore, you don't want to be associated with that brand, as long as that fucking idiot Linda McMahon is in charge of the fuck. We took the lady married to the wrestling goon and put her in charge of education. She's not a teacher. She's never had any fucking experience. But, they donated a lot of money to their good friend, the Trumps. So she gets to be education secretary. There you go, Mick Foley. Let's see. What else do we have? Okay, here's a sad one. All right. Whoop, whoop, whoop. We got an alert. We've got another celebrity death. I openly yesterday, in giving you the final death trilogy, I got us all caught up on death trilogies yesterday. Rob Reiner closed it out. It was Rob Reiner, Anthony Geary from, Luke from All My Children, and Joe Eli. That was it. Rob Reiner, Anthony Geary, and guitar legend and outlaw country star Joe Eli. Those are the last three celebrities. And I wondered openly yesterday, I'm like, we've only got a couple of weeks left. We only got a couple of weeks before the end of the year. Are we going to get another complete death trilogy? We've had like 30 death trilogies. Well, we started one today. And I ain't happy about it, but I'll survive. Gil Gerard. Gil Gerard is dead. Gil Gerard dead at the age of, what are we thinking? 82. I'm going to say 82, Gil Gerard. Now you're probably like, who the hell is Gil Gerard? And I wouldn't begrudge you that, because you have to be very specifically a certain age to even know who Gil Gerard is. Because although Gil Gerard, to a certain group of people born at a certain time, is one of the biggest stars from their childhood, he never did anything else. Gil Gerard never did anything else after Buck Rogers. That's right. He was the star of Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, a show that aired on NBC between, I want to say, 77 and 80. I was like 7, 8 years old. It was a show, and it's prime time, and we loved it. Remember Tweaky? Remember Aaron Gray? Now, even Aaron Gray, who was his female co-star, even Aaron Gray would go on to have something else to do in life. She, Silver Spoons. She played Ricky Stratton's, I don't know how, what was she? Was she a stepmom? Was she Ricky Stratton's stepmom? There you go. All right, but not Gil Gerard. Gil Gerard did not do anything. Gil Gerard is dead. Let's watch this. The opening to one of my favorite shows as a child, Buck Rogers in the 25th Century.
In the year 1987, at Cape Kennedy, NASA launched the last of America's deep space probes. Aboard this compact starship, a lone astronaut, Captain William.
You know what's crazy about this? When we were watching it, like when I was watching this at 7 years old in like the mid 70s or late 70s or whatever, when I was watching this, 1987 seems so far away. It's like, wow, it's really in the future.
William Buck Rogers was to experience cosmic forces beyond all comprehension.
That's it.
His trajectory was disrupted by an explosion. In the wink of an eye, his life support systems were frozen by temperatures beyond imagination. Ranger 3 was blown out of its planned trajectory. Buck was frozen by elements so instantaneous and perfect that he was fully preserved and living when found by the forces of the Draconian army and taken aboard the King's flagship Draconia.
Where am I? You were aboard the King's flagship Draconia, under command of the Royal Princess Ardala, on its way to Earth on a peace mission.
Oh.
Give him something for his discomfort. Oh. Are you a real life princess?
They sure are doing a lot of like context, right? Like they're really giving you the story. All right. So Buck Rogers was a modern astronaut. They sent him into space in 1987. He went through some kind of a vortex. His space shuttle, because it's basically a space shuttle. His space shuttle went wiggy. He was picked up by this galactic people from the future, from another world, whatever. They're on their way to Earth to like negotiate some kind of peace treaty or whatever. What they end up doing instead, seriously, we don't need to watch this whole fucking thing. And we don't need to watch the whole damn thing. Look at this. There's like another 2 minutes explaining what Buck Rogers was. Anyway, these people that scooped him up, he was frozen. He was frozen in space. They scooped him up, they unfroze him, and then they sent him back to Earth. Now, the problem is that he was sent back to Earth not in 1987, where he's from. He was sent back to Earth in the year 2025, where they thought that he was an alien monster and they treated him poorly. Anyway, that's the whole premise of Buck Rogers. Now let's talk about the man himself, because let me tell you, for boys like me, he was an icon, man. He was a movie star. There was Fonzie. There was Buck Rogers. Who else did we have that we liked? Evel Knievel, Muhammad Ali. I don't know. Bruce Jenner. All right, let's see here. Buck Rogers, Gil Gerard. Buck Rogers, in the 25th century hero, is dead at the age of 82. The actor died on Tuesday following a battle with cancer. That's all. You know what? Privacy, whatever. You know, But if you're a Gen X boy, man, Gil Gerard was a thing. Tweaky the robot. Beady, 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 beady. He had a little robot. And we loved that. I'm 8 years old. I love that robot. I thought it was a real thing. I had no idea it was just a midget in a tin suit. I thought it was like a real robot. Beady, 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 beady. Wanted one of those. Really figured by now I'd have a robot. I really did. I mean, by this age, at this point, like back in 1977, I'm sitting there watching Buck Rogers and I see Tweaky. And I'm like, man, I mean, I know that I ain't getting a robot in the next year or two, but easily by the time I'm 20, I'm going to have my own robot. Nope. Never got a robot. Life goes on. Maddie with a good question. She says, was Buck Rogers the precursor to Flash Gordon, or did that come from a comic book? Okay, so this is interesting. I don't know the answer. I don't know which is first. I mean, that's easily find outable, what with AI and all that. But it is interesting that you did, Maddie. Those were like the two science fiction things before what, Star Trek, or before? I mean, I guess there was a science fiction boom in like the 1950s, but before that, like your grandparents and shit, like when they grew up, they didn't have Star Wars or anything like that. They had either Buck Rogers or Flash Gordon. And I don't know which one of these guys came first. I don't know which came first. I don't know if Buck Rogers, I know, also comes from like, olden times. But Flash Gordon definitely comes from olden times. I don't know. Now, look at that. Now I've created a Wikipedia hole for me to fall down tonight. I promise you, at some point tonight, I'll just be laying there in bed and I'll suddenly start reading about the history of Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers, and I'll have an answer as to who came first. Okay. Maddie says, love the movie Flash Gordon. It's still great. Such a cult classic. With all due respect, Maddie, you can like anything you want, but I have determined that this is a fucking Ted influence. You know the movie Ted, where it's all about their love of fucking Flash Gordon, right? So Flash Gordon, the movie, that Ted in the film Ted that they're obsessed with, Flash Gordon, the movie, was like smack dab in the middle of my childhood. It was targeted towards me. It was for me and my friends. Flash, bum, 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 ba. It sucked. I mean, Flash Gordon in 1982 sucked. Everybody made fun of it. It was a massive bomb. It was a terrible movie. It made no fucking sense. The special effects were awful. And it's not like, well, no, they were good for its time. No, this movie was made 5 years after Star Wars. It wasn't good for its time. It was cheap and bad for its time. Flash Gordon, the movie that Queen did the soundtrack for, Flash Gordon, that movie that Maddie says was so good, was never considered good by anybody until they started referencing it for comic relief in the film Ted. You do realize that Ted and like Mark Wahlberg, they're fucking idiots. Okay, so if they like something, we're not supposed to take, oh, I bet that's pretty good. No, the reason that was a joke. They were obsessed with a movie that absolutely nobody else likes. Flash Gordon was terrible. So, Maddie, I know you're a smart lady. I'd ask you to reinvestigate because that is an unwatchable, terrible, terrible film. All right, she's doubling down. Says she loves Ming the Merciless. He was pretty cool. The Ming character was kind of spooky. He said, no, I swear I love Ming. I wanted to be him for Halloween. Okay, you can want to be Ming. You can watch the Flash Gordon movie and your takeaway can be, that was a pretty cool character. I'd like to do that for Halloween. That doesn't make the movie good. Doesn't mean it makes any fucking sense. But yeah, the Ming guy was pretty quick. He was pretty... Barney says Flash Gordon. I don't know, Barney, you're from that era. I mean, were you a huge Flash Gordon fan? Like, or I should say not you. I don't mean to put it on you, but like among you and your friend group, like, were you guys all like in 1986, were you like, man, they better make a Flash Gordon 2? I mean, there's a reason that in the age of, sequels, and that was the age of sequels, there was no Flash Gordon 2 because people were like, yeah, that fucking bombed. Nobody liked that. I don't know. I just don't remember it ever being thought of as a movie that anyone should waste their time on until the movie Ted started referencing it for comedic effect. And I'm like, that's the joke. That it's such a stupid movie that, of course, these two fucking morons are obsessed with it. All right. Maddie's doubling down. How Trumpian. She says Flash Gordon was a staple movie in my house growing up. My dad had it on those disc movie player thingies. All right. You know what? Here you go. Here's your out. I'm going to offer you your out. All right. And by the way, this is just an out from me thinking you have terrible taste in movies. Okay. Here's the out that I'm going to offer you. In the early days of like DVDs and VCRs and stuff, there were only a few tapes out there, and every house had a fucking horrible movie collection. Like every house had a bunch of movies that you only have them on disc or whatever is because it's available on disc. You don't want to watch it, or maybe you did and it was terrible, and now you own it, and now it's there taking up space forever. So if you're telling me that while you were growing up, this video was, that's fine. That's fine. I get that because there are only a few movies that you could watch back then. Ours was better. Ours was better. The one movie that I watched probably 15 times because the one person in my neighborhood who had a VCR in like 1978. Remember when they were the size of an air conditioner unit, just sitting there in your living room? It's like a giant. You put this big clunky tape in. My friend, they had two movies. They had Used Cars. I don't know if you guys remember Used Cars, but it was a Kurt Russell comedy that I still maintain is a great comedy, but people don't love it. But I maintain, for maybe the same reason that Maddie maintains Flash Gordon is good, I maintain Used Cars is a good movie because I watched it like 15 times because it was only one of two movies that were available to watch. The other, however, is one of the great films of all time. Richard Harris, A Man Called Horse. Oh, Jesus, we had two movies on VCR. We had Used Cars and A Man Called Horse. In later years, that would expand to Tootsie. Tootsie was a good one. And what was the other weird one that we had? Like, we're like, why are we don't watch this movie? Ordinary People. That was it. That was it. Maddie's now thrown down for Rocky Horror. She says Rocky Horror also awesome. I was never a Rocky Horror guy. You know what? I bet I would be now, though. I bet you if I actually just watched Rocky Horror now, and because I'm more comfortable with myself, I would probably be like, this is fun. I like this. This is fun. Here's the problem. When the Rocky Horror thing was taking off for me when I was in high school and college, and every Saturday night, people would be like, let's get dressed up and go to Rocky Horror. Those were all the weird theater dorks. Those were all like the weird, 1987, you don't think there's any gay people, but you know that there's some dudes in theater who are probably, those were the ones that were going to Rocky Horror. So me and my clique, we were like, yeah, that's not our scene. That seems, that seems gay. We were like, that seems pretty gay. And then over the years, I'm like, that actually seems pretty fun. Maybe them gays knew what they were doing back then. So Rocky Horror has always been kind of like, I feel like I missed out on something because I was a bigot. You know, I'm like, oh man, if I wasn't such a stupid 16-year-old bigot, maybe I'd have a better life experience, but I don't. That's how we go. Let's see here. As we get to this point, one more time, I want everybody to bring their hands together, smack that flesh, if you will, and say thank you to Barney. Today's show is brought to us by Barney the Great. If you are so inclined and want to help show this show a little bit of support, drop a little something in either the Venmo or the Cash App. The show runs on your tips. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. What's Adam saying? Here we go. Adam says, I wish we had musical theater in my high school, but I went to Rocky Horror Picture Show at 14 with my dad and loved it. You didn't have a theater? You didn't have theater in your high school? Is that a Texas thing where they like, we don't want to encourage gay behavior? Was that a Texas thing? I thought that was like a part of like, you know, the National Endowment for the Arts. I thought all public schools had to have a theater department. I might be wrong. I don't know. My theater department in high school, it was not cool. It was not cool. You want to know why? Because they were fucking good. They were good. My high school won state, like not in anything that counts. Never won state in football, never won state in anything. But when I was in high school, my theater department, my high school theater team won state 3 different times in 3 different categories. They won it in something called contest play, which is a great idea, which I honestly think I would love to produce that as a TV show, contest play. Contest play, forget it. I don't want to go into it. But then they also won state in a couple of different categories like extemporaneous monologue and stuff like that. Anyway, my high school was really good at like drama and theater and stuff. So contest play, check this out. This is pretty cool. I like honestly think this could be like a TV show, you know, with the whole, you know, not who wants to, but like American Idol. You know, we've done singers, shit. We've done ice skaters. We've done dancers and we've done stand-ups, right? We've done talent contests for all of those kinds of talents. How come there has never been a talent contest for acting? How come we have never seen Hollywood's Next Big Star, where it's, you know, just a bunch of like actors or wannabes, just like American Idol, who have to come out on TV and recreate scenes, playing characters that we know as other things, reinvent things. I think that would be a big hit. I've always thought that was going to be a big hit. But the way I would do it is because of my high school experience with contest play. Contest play was something my high school was really good at. It was a tournament. All the high schools in the state would create, or not create, but they would stage like a 15-minute play. They would take classic short stories or whatever, and they would all have 15 minutes to create this play. And then they'd go downstate or whatever, and they would all perform their little 15-minute plays, and they would pit this high school doing 15 minutes of The Iceman Cometh versus this high school doing 15 minutes of Carousel, you know, or Oklahoma or whatever. It was fucking cool, man. And I was a part of it because our school, our contest play team was so good. They went to state every year, and going to state was cool because you got to stay in a hotel, and they needed football players and wrestlers and people from, you know, the athletic teams to be stage builders, to move the giant walls and the sets and break everything down. So I did that for 3 years, man. I went down there to state. We were breaking down walls and carrying it and partying with the theater people. Theater girls were slutty. Theater girls were sluttier than regular girls back then because they're very avant-garde, because they're very, anyway, it was fun. Now, that is probably one of my, I always make fun of the theater dorks, but quite frankly, there were a bunch of friends of mine who were theater dorks. They were nice people, just weird, just a little weird. But I always thought that would make a great fucking TV show. I mean, if American Idol, we've done dancing, we've done ice skaters, we've even done everything. So you think you've got talent. If you're a juggler, you get a chance. But there has never been any kind of dramatic scene creation that we, the audience, can then vote on and go, oh my God, no, that guy who played the Betty Davis role in the recreation of Baby Jane. Let's vote for her on our phone. I mean, it was just fucking, it's a cool idea. Anyway, contest play. We should bring it to TV. Be a hit TV show. All right, what else do we have? Do we have anything else today? Yeah, we do. Who's number one in black people? That's right. I teased this at the start of the show. There's a new poll, black populations and how it's migrating across America. If this is something you're concerned about, well, then just, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. I just thought it's a funny thing to have tabulated. Black population by state is what this is. The South. The South has a very large black population. All right, chat room, here we go. Here's what I want to know. All right, chat room, we did this earlier at the start of the show. I want you to play along again, okay? Chat room right now, what state has the most black people? You tell me right now. You just think about it. You tell me what state in the United States has the largest black population. Let's go. I'll wait. And in the meantime, I'll encourage you to drop a little something in. All right, here we go. Tell me what state. Again, I know there's a delay, so I've got to wait. What state has the largest black population? I want to see some of your guesses. I'll tell you this. I got it right. It was like, oh, yeah, probably that one. And there we go. Maddie gets it right. The first one in. All right, April, I see you. We got breaking news. Thanks to April. Mississippi. Mississippi has the highest black population. 38.49% of the entire population in Mississippi is black. Do we call it black or African American? I don't know. This comes to us from Global Statistics. Number 2 is Louisiana. Number 3 is Georgia. Number 4 is Maryland. And number 5 is Alabama IA. Those are your top 5. Top 5 in black. Alabama, Maryland, Georgia, Louisiana, and Mississippi. Now, some of you might be interested to know what states have the least black people. I don't know why you'd want to know that. Probably for your own personal edification to balance out that Mississippi has the most. Now you just want to know who has the least. Who has, chat room? Here's back to you, chat room. Who has the least black people in America? Give me the state. Give me the state that you think has the least amount of black people. And I'll tell you what, instead of filling time like that, I got to pee. I'll be right back. Its percentage of population. Mississippi has 38.7% black people, percentage of population. I am looking for the state with the lowest percentage of black population in the United States. All right, here we go. We're back. All right, let me see some of the guests. We've got April saying Wyoming. We've got Adam saying Wyoming. Peter's going with Utah or Alaska. Brown says Connecticut. Are we all pronouncing Connecticut incorrectly, or are they just spelling it in a fucked up way? I don't know. All right, here's your answer. We're looking for the state here in the United States that has the lowest percentage of black population, and that would be Montana, ladies and gentlemen. Montana. All right. Then Idaho, Wyoming, Utah, all the places where, how about this? All the places where there's nobody, where nobody lives. All right, there you go. Number one in blacks is, of course, Mississippi. What else do we have here? Guys, I think that's it. Guys, I really do. I think that's it. I'm sorry. I probably could have waited to go to the bathroom. Yeah, Maddie says one of the square states. Yeah, all those square states. Remember, we talked about that earlier. Something happened once we got west of the Mississippi where we just decided to stop really caring about borders, and we just made a series of squares. A series of neatly fitting squares. Till we got to California where they went, let's just give them that whole side. And then Oregon and Washington were like, can we just have a little something up here? Okay, Brandon, come on. Brandon, I'm on the air. Jesus Christ. What? Brandon calling me. I'll call him back because I got to get off. Let's hear it for Barney. Thank you, Barney. Appreciate you, buddy. I appreciate all of you who help this show in whatever way you can, whether that means liking, following, sharing, retweeting, commenting, whatever it is. Help the algorithm on my socials, because that's the only way we promote this show. We need your help in growing this audience. And don't worry, the Fabulous 15. We know who you are. I know who you are. We've been together for 4 years. The new kids aren't going to come in and win my favor. You are my family, and I need you guys to help us ensure we can keep this going. If it's not going to be with a tip, and that's fine, that is absolutely fine. There are other ways that you can help. Everybody can pitch in. We can grow this show. Now, if that all seems like way too much, it is always preferred that you just drop a little cash in the Venmo or the Cash App, and we're all good. Guys, we're gonna be done. We'll come back tomorrow. Hi, Peter. We'll come back tomorrow and at noon, and we'll do more. We're gonna watch. I would like to be able to watch the Trump speech with you tonight. Like, I would love to be able to we're probably, God, can't do it. I can't do it yet. I'm not full. We'll figure it out. Because I want to start doing that breaking news stuff. Remember how I tried to do it back when we were doing in the guest house? And I was like, this is too hard. I can't do it. And I'm like, no, it's not too hard. It's actually something that I can do. So like, follow, subscribe, tip. That's all I got. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Is there anything else that I want to mention? Did I tell you that I saw a broke down Cybertruck? Yeah, I mentioned that. I was driving in. I saw a broke down Cybertruck being fixed by another Cybertruck. Okay, that's it. That's all we got. I love you guys. See ya.